A young man is angry, saying he can't believe the apartment owner changed the lock just because he couldn't pay this month's rent. He comments that the landlord doesn't realize that by doing this, he will literally become homeless and have to sleep on the streets. The young man adds that the payment for the novel he just released will take a long time to be received. He is the protagonist of this story, whose name is Bayu. With his hands in his pockets, he sees that there is little money left to live on and wonders how he will survive with just that. He looks up and sees a lottery and says that since he's already at rock bottom, he might as well try his luck. Opening the lottery door, the protagonist says he wants a scratch card. The shopkeeper, smoking something, asks which one he wants. The young man responds that it doesn't matter, as he's just there to test his luck. But Bayu sees something strange and even rubs his eyes to see if it's real. He thinks he seems to be seeing chances on each scratch card and wonders if he's hallucinating from working too much. The shopkeeper hands him a scratch card with a 100% success rate. He tries to touch it, but his finger goes through it, questioning whether he is the only one seeing this or if it's some kind of illusion. He decides to test one, and upon scratching, he wins 10. His eyes light up and he asks for 2 more. Upon scratching, he wins another 5 and then 50. He wonders if the number on top of the scratch card is the probability of success. The shop owner gets suspicious and prepares a row of tickets, 9 with 100% and 1 with 0%. Bayu opens the first one with 0% and doesn't win. He concludes that he really is seeing the success chance. The shopkeeper advises our boy to have self-control, but he asks for 20 more tickets of 10 yuan each. The shopkeeper questions if he's going to buy all that, reminding him that he's wasting his last yuans. 10 minutes later, the old man has already transferred 20,000 to the protagonist's account. Bayu starts to question the numbers representing the chance of success and the unknown value he might win. He would like to understand how much he could win, for example, the chance of winning 100 yuan or another amount. The shopkeeper tries to convince him to stop, but Bayu is determined to continue. However, upon receiving the tickets from the shopkeeper, Bayu is surprised to realize that the probabilities are messed up. He notices that the probabilities are based on his questions and concludes that by rephrasing them, he could win much more money. Our boy tells the shopkeeper that today he is lucky, but the shopkeeper believes his luck will run out. But the protagonist keeps scratching tickets and not winning anything. Seeing this, the shopkeeper sighs in relief and says that Bayu's luck has run out and advises him to stop. However, he was eyeing the ticket with 30,000%, revealing that he was buying 0% tickets to disguise his plan. The shopkeeper offers 100 yuan for him to leave, but he insists on continuing, saying that now he will turn the tables. Winning several of 10, the shopkeeper said that no one had ever won more than 1,000 in that shop. But the protagonist suddenly wins 15,000 yuan on a ticket. The shopkeeper realizes that all the winning tickets were taken by our boy, so he asks him to keep buying. Seeing that all the tickets have a 0% probability, he refuses the old man's offer, explaining that he needs to be diligent and careful with his money. Bayu leaves the shop satisfied, wondering if he could use the system beyond lotteries. He tests the chance of opening a door and notices he can see the probabilities, and the chance of opening gradually decreases. When suddenly a dog comes bursting through the door, he steps back in time, confirming that his ability is real. The shopkeeper is surprised and asks if Bayu knew the dog was going to enter. He invents that he is a seer from a family of fortune tellers with a 3,000-year lineage. The shopkeeper, still suspicious, asked Bayu to guess something about his financial future. He is about to sell an apartment but doesn't know for how much. Bayu uses his power to determine that the shopkeeper can sell his apartment for 4.3 million. The shopkeeper is impressed and thankful and becomes convinced of Bayu's abilities. The protagonist stated that the other party would accept without hesitation. But if he tried to sell for 4.5, there was still an 80% chance of succeeding. The old man showed confusion and seemed doubtful. Bayu suggested that if he had doubts, he should call the client. A while later, the shopkeeper said that the client really agreed and that Bayu was truly incredible, offering 300,000 as compensation. He received the money and mentioned that he was almost embarrassed to accept so much money for this guesswork. The shopkeeper replied not to worry and to go in peace because he had helped him a lot. Leaving the shop, the young man stated that with his talent, he would now achieve the best life possible. On the street, the dog showed signs of distress after the accident. Seeing this, the boy said that the dog was stupid for being lost and lying there. But it seemed to be a purebred dog. He wondered what the chance was that this dog had an owner, and the system concluded that it was 100%. The dog had helped him win money, so he decided to help find its owner. During a game, the ball the dog was holding in its mouth flew onto a billboard, bouncing back and hitting both of them on the head. The protagonist said the dog was very stupid and wondered how the owner could stand it. The dog pulled his leg, and he thought the idiot seemed to want to lead him to the owner. Suddenly, the dog ran off frantically. He wondered if the dog was at least going to the owner and decided to follow to see. The protagonist chased the dog, and 3 minutes later in the Central Park, a girl was taking a selfie for TikTok. The protagonist was surprised by the girl's beauty and thought she was a 9 out of 10. He wondered what the probability was that she was the dog's owner. He concluded it was 100%. Apparently, the owner was a beauty. Initially, he only thought about asking for money for finding the dog. The girl was calmly taking several selfies. Seeing this, Bayu thought she must be stupid because the dog had been lost for a while and she hadn't even noticed. The two approached the girl and she asked if he had a husky tune because it looked a lot like her dog, Orion. The protagonist looked at her thinking she was dense and stupid. She squatted to talk to the dog and commented that even the barks of his dog were similar to her dog's. But Orion was a bit more handsome. She said his husky seemed a bit dumb, less intelligent than hers, and ate about 500 tons of dog food, and her dog's coat looked better. The boy, hearing her say these things, had no reaction. And likewise, she also had no reaction. However, he asserted that it was her dog. The girl replied that he was a joker because her dog was tied up over there. 5 minutes later, embarrassed, she thanked the protagonist by giving him her phone number. He said it was no problem, it was good that she found her dog. In her posts, the boy saw a picture of the girl and the dog making a mess. Seeing this, he commented that her dog was destroying everything, and he would have already kicked the dog out if he were the owner. But he mentioned he couldn't even kick it out, as he was kicked out of his house and had nowhere to go. The girl literally ignored him and commented that if he didn't have a house, he should just buy one. The protagonist thought she might be right. Now that he had the probability ability, why was he thinking about paying rent? He concluded it would be easier to buy a house once he got rich, but he wondered how he would get rich and buy a house the quickest way. He didn't have nearly enough money. Even paying in installments and making a deposit with the $300,000 wouldn't be easy. He needed to think of a quick way to make money. The lottery idea was very suspicious and stocks would take too long. So he had the idea of checking out antique collections. Babe arrived at the Chinese market and the merchants were announcing their items. Suddenly, a guy with 2 teeth suggested the protagonist take a look at their porcelain collection. The other merchants started forming a circle around the protagonist, announcing what they wanted to sell. The fat vendor on the right commented that the boy was a novice, wandering around lost and probably didn't know anything. The protagonist stopped and thought that these guys must think he was a novice, a bunch of lions wanting to steal his money. The man suddenly told the boy that these were antiques inherited from his ancestors, that his name was Lai, and apparently his ancestor was the poet Lai's son. The boy was surprised to hear this and said he would take a look. But in his mind, he affirmed that the merchants were thinking he was a novice, deciding to show what it was like to be a novice who never gets fooled. He wondered what the chances were that the items there were genuine, concluding that it was 100%. All genuine, so something was wrong there. Maybe it was based on his knowledge or he needed to ask in a more accurate way. He wondered what the chances were that the items in that stall had a value above 10,000, concluding that none did. He asked the merchant about an item, and the merchant replied that it was by far the most valuable antique, offering it to the protagonist for 20,000. He thought the merchant was a scoundrel trying to deceive him, selling something that wasn't worth even 200 for 20,000 yuans. Bayu stood up to leave, and the merchant, seeing this, became desperate. The boy thought that place would be difficult. There were crooks everywhere and no one there sold good things. To buy something, he needed to sell it for at least 10,000. He looked at the fat man's stall and asked the system what the chance was of buying something worth 10,000 there. The chance was 10%, which gradually increased to 300,000. After that, the protagonist was sure he could make a good deal there. The fat man, seeing him approaching his stall, planned something malicious. He explained that buying antiques was a matter of vision, that he worked with integrity and would never be like those unscrupulous merchants. He suggested discussing the prices, showing that the item he presented was of good quality. Bayu interrupted him and said he wasn't interested, as the probability showed 0%. He stated that he wanted the item that showed a 100% chance of selling for 500,000, thinking that the poor guy believed he was a novice and wouldn't make any mistakes. With his probability ability, he could easily choose only the most valuable things. The fat man thought the boy was foolish because that item was trash and mentally questioned how he could raise the price of something so ugly. In his thoughts, the protagonist reflected that the seller must be thinking about how to increase the price. Slapping his own face, he thought it was better to remove that smug smile. Otherwise, the seller would realize he was too confident. The boy picked up the pot he wanted to sell again and explained that to collect antiques one needed good eyes, saying that our boy had a good affinity and was humble, so his opinion was important. He suggested paying attention to the work on the base and claimed the vase was handcrafted and with a clean sound, offering it for 50,000. He stated that if Bayu acquired it there and sold it anywhere, he would make a fortune. He was confused by the fat man and in his thoughts questioned if the seller wanted to sell that trash, imagining that perhaps he didn't even know that item was worth 500,000. After finishing his thoughts, he commented that the vase was really very beautiful, but he didn't feel an affinity for it, and found another very good item. The merchant smiled and responded that the boy had good eyes for being interested in the bronze pot. It was a treasure excavated from his homeland, and he would sell it for 8,000 because it seemed he was very interested. Stating that this was the original price he paid, he asked the boy what he thought. Bayu thought that compared to the original value of the item, 8,000 was nothing. However, he asked the system if the merchant knew the value of the vase, getting a clear 0%. Seeing these results, the boy thought that with a probability ability, he could deceive the seller without him even knowing. But he wondered if he should pretend to be a novice or poor to make the seller lower the price even more, and decided to try to find out the minimum he would sell for. He asked the system what the chance was of the fat man selling it for 4,000, which surprisingly dropped to 2,000 with a 100% chance. After this conclusion, Babe stated that 8,000 was a bit high and asked if the seller could lower the price a little. The seller thought he had spent only a few coins to get that item along with a bunch of other items. Noticing it was the boy's first time in that place, he commented that 8,000 wasn't very expensive, but let the boy name a price he could pay. The protagonist said he could only pay 2,000. The seller was surprised to hear the amount and called him poor. The boy insisted on buying for 2,000 but feigned quick disinterest, forcing the seller to accept. The transaction of 2,000 yuans was made, and the protagonist thought he had made a fortune with the fat man. The seller thought he had made a fortune with the kid, commenting that the day before he had sold an item he bought for a few coins to a pretty girl for 8,000. And now he sold for 2,000 an item that wasn't worth anything, already observing the protagonist try and gather relics. Speaking of the girl from the previous day, she suddenly appeared heading towards Old Juan. Before she got there, he was already saying that it wasn't his problem if she couldn't sell it, that she had chosen to pay that price, and that his shop was small and didn't offer refunds. The girl asked if Wang had sold the pot he had just sold. Without hesitation, she stated that she would pay 10,000 or even 50,000 for that bronze pot. The seller began to tremble at the amount, looking at Babe from a distance, thinking of the 50,000 that could be his and wondering if the pot was really worth that much and how the boy knew. The girl continued staring, wondering why Old Wang was stalling and if he was trying to raise the price. She stated that if 50,000 wasn't enough, she would increase the offer to 60,000 or even 80,000. Impatient, the girl questioned why he wasn't giving in and if he was deaf, demanding an answer. The friend next to him commented that he was impressed with Old Wang for trying to sell for 80,000 something he bought for 300. The old man asked the girl if they would close the deal for 100,000, and she agreed, leaving the seller stunned. The friend laughed at the situation and said that Old Wang had already sold the pot for 2,000. The girl was incredulous to learn the item had been sold. Old Wang stood up and said he would get the vase back. In the middle of the crowd, someone shouted the amount of 300,000. Everyone turned, and people in the crowd commented that the boy was lucky, because the old man was offering 300,000 for the bronze chalice. The friend from the next shop asked if the old man was referring to that chalice. The girl wondered who the bastard was that bought the item, as he would regret getting in her way. The protagonist, gesturing, refused the amount. The crowd commented that the boy was refusing an offer of 300,000 and that he was crazy. The old man raised it to 350,000, which quickly went to 400,000, emphasizing that he wouldn't go any higher. The protagonist sighed and said he was going to leave. The old man stopped him and asked him not to be hasty, telling him to name his price. The boy replied that the old man was a professional and that he wanted to be friends with him, so he suggested 500,000. The old man gave him a look and replied that kids these days were difficult, but agreed to be his friend. Old Wang was already fainting in the crowd. Someone in the crowd helped Wang and told him to relax, saying he had heard the boy bought the item from one of their shops. The guy who sold it to him must be writhing. He asked Wang if it wasn't him. Wang, desperate, replied that he would never do that because he had been dealing in antiques for a long time and would never sell something so cheaply. That girl stepped in and said she offered 550,000 for the item. Our boy looked and thought the girl had beautiful skin, a lovely face, long legs, and was a complete beauty. Offering 550,000, she must be a rich sundeer. He thought his goddess had finally appeared, but he couldn't be swayed by her beauty. With his current ability, the cat-like woman would be easy to conquer. The girl looked and thought the disgusting guy was staring at her with a strange expression. But if her grandfather wasn't so stern, she would give up on the chalice. But she had to buy it at any cost. The boy wondered if her chance of buying the chalice was 100% and if she would pay even more. He turned to see the fat man and said the seller had also come. He said that the chalice he bought from Old Wang for 2,000 was actually worth 550,000. The other merchants started mocking the fat man and he collapsed right there. The girl came running and said she offered 550,000. It was take it or leave it. The old man on the other side asked for calm, saying the girl was being irrational and that he had made the first offer. She replied that the old man hadn't closed the deal yet. This spoiled child reminded her of someone. The two stared at the protagonist, who said he wasn't the one buying, asking them to talk among themselves. The girl thought it was a cheap trick to try to raise the price, thinking she and the old man were stupid. But seconds later, the two were raising the price, which gradually went to 600,000. The old man was going to say 700, but he thought and asked if the girl's grandfather was the crazy old man from Jimian. The woman, surprised, replied that he was her grandfather and asked who the old man was. The old man said it was a small world, that he was a friend of her grandfather, and that her grandfather must have sent her to buy the chalice. He introduced himself as Lai Haigo, a history professor at Hangzhou University, just like her grandfather. The girl replied that he was the old Lai her father talked so much about. The old man asked how her grandfather was. She replied that he was doing very well and always walked in the morning. Bayu, confused, asked if they were going to buy it or not. The girl, side-eyeing, replied with a sharp tone that yes, they were. Pushing the old man, she told him to take care and suggested he go have tea with her grandfather and that she would pick him up later. With that, 600,000 were deposited into Bayu's account. In his thoughts, he said he got more than he expected, 100,000 more than the initial price, and that now he was almost a millionaire thanks to his golden touch. He thought this was like the powers protagonist and Anam received, and if that was the case, he asked the girl why she didn't give him her number. She made a face of surprise and disgust. The protagonist thought he should calm down, that the girl seemed interested in antiques, and that when he found something really good, he would call her. She stared at him and thought it was awful, wondering who he thought he was, a toad that kisses the princess, and found him too ugly, feeling disgusted. Our boy asked the girl if she was going to answer. She, surprised and fearful, asked what he meant by calling her his girl. In her thoughts, the girl called him a piece of crap, thinking he was being too informal with her. Turning to him, she asked if he thought he was older than her not to be polite with her. The protagonist asked the assistant what the probability was that the girl was older than him, but the answer was 0%. Noting her prideful demeanor, he thought she was worthy of being his woman, but she didn't know he had his success rate. Circling the girl, Bayu asked the system what the chance was that the Empress was 20 years old, and the answer was 100%. He and she were both 20 years old. He was born on September 30 and began to think about her birth date. She wasn't born in October or even in December. Our boy asked the system if they were born on the same day, and the answer was 100%. He was born at 3:23 in the afternoon, so the girl should have been born between 7 a.m. and noon. The answer was negative, so he asked if she was born after 5 p.m., with the answer again being negative. However, they were both born at 3:30 with a 1-minute difference. Bayu thought she was trying to act older, but he was slightly older than her. The protagonist started saying that the girl turned 20 this year and was born at the end of September. The girl turned confused. He continued, affirming that she must be wondering how he knew this and said it was just a predictive ability. She glared and replied that anyone could find that information online and that he should stop joking because she was leaving. The protagonist then challenged, saying he wanted to see how she reacted when he said this. He did the math and stated that she was born in September in the afternoon around 3:30. The girl was shocked, not knowing what to say. The people in the crowd commented that he went too far to research about the girl and must be a pervert. The protagonist thought that wasn't supposed to happen. She tried to escape, but he insisted, saying he wasn't done yet, stating that she was born at 3:24 and even more boldly at 3 hours, 24 minutes and 36 seconds. The girl, sweating cold, pulled out her phone and called her mother, asking exactly when she was born. Her mother confirmed it was at 3:24 and 36 seconds. The girl, extremely confused, said nothing. The protagonist asked her to say something because he was getting scared with her just staring at him. She responded that she couldn't be curious because he was strange and said she was leaving. He tried to explain that he was joking and had just guessed. She didn't believe him, saying he even got the seconds right and now was treating her like an idiot, asking what the trick was. The protagonist thought she looked even more beautiful when angry and replied that it was just logical deduction and a bit of guessing. She questioned if he was serious about the guessing. Bayu said not all fortune tellers were liars and commented that she was wearing black underneath today. She got angry hearing that. He asked loudly why he didn't see her boyfriend and what the chance was of her being single, deducing that she never liked any man. Extremely embarrassed, she asked what he was saying. The crowd around was staring at her, and the protagonist said he spoke clearly. The woman pulled him, and the two ran to a more secluded place. She put her foot on the wall and demanded he tell her how he knew all that about her. Bayu replied that it was just his calculations and guesses. She didn't believe him, and he challenged her, saying he knew where the 3 birthmarks on her body were and that knowing someone's orientation was much easier than that. She was shocked and at the same time shy and angry. A while later, the protagonist was adding her contact information. He said that if he had something good to sell, he would let her know, and added that if she wanted any fortune-telling advice, she could ask him. In his thoughts, he reflected that the guessing rate was so good he could even discover people's secrets. He didn't expect to learn so much from that girl. Observing the situation, he noticed that the old man who knew her was calling someone, wondering if he had heard that conversation, and asked the system what the chance was that the girl's family would find out she had no interest in men. Initially, it's 0%. However, the situation changes. The secret is increasing, and the chance of being discovered reaches 100%. He concludes this likely happened because of the public conversation, questioning if Mr. Lai already called the family. He panics as he didn't intend for this to happen. He messages the girl and says that because of the 600,000, he mentioned that the secret might not be a secret for her family anymore. She runs to try to find the protagonist, but he is already hidden. Suddenly, her parents contact her to talk about it. From a distance, he just watches as her family on the phone tells her to come home because her mother and father have something to ask her. Bayu thinks his fortune-telling ability is a blessing for him, but a curse for others. Suddenly, his phone rings. His mother has arranged a blind date for him. Although he refuses, the date is already set for 8:15 p.m. At the restaurant, he thinks about leaving since it's taking a while and compliments the girls in the place. He sees a woman with blue hair entering the establishment, accompanied by Kim Kim. The system confirms that Kim Kim has a 100% interest in the blue-haired woman. The blue-haired woman stares at Bayu, quickly removes Kim Kim's hand from her arm and starts to cry. Bayu thinks Kim Kim is looking at him like she wants to kill him. The blue-haired woman approaches and asks if he is Bayu. Introducing herself as Mui, she says she believes he's a good man to date. People around are incredulous at the situation and Bayu is even more confused. Kim Kim falls into desperate tears. Bayu comments that the situation is strange. Mui asks if he doesn't find her attractive. He replies that yes, she's amazing in every aspect. In his thoughts, he wonders how to get out of this situation. Mui approaches and whispers in his ear that she's serious and it's not a joke, then hugs him. Doubting if it's a dream, he asks the system, which gives a result of 0%. The girl stares at him and gives him a forced kiss, leaving Kim Kim desolate. Mui tells him to follow her to meet her parents. Bayu deduces that Mui isn't in love with him but is using him as a shield to make Kim Kim give up. Hesitant, he wonders if she really wants to introduce him to her parents. Seeing his hesitation, Mui asks if he regrets it. The protagonist thinks she kissed him and that he should be getting involved in this. Seeing Mui shed a tear, Bayu decides to go with her. Arriving in her house, she loudly announces their arrival. Her mother asks how the date went and if she failed again. Mui introduces Bayu as her boyfriend and he, trembling, greets the mother, calling her Miss Mu. In his thoughts, he questions how he ended up there but decides to act to help Mui. Her mother is surprised and happy, while her father in the kitchen shouts with joy. He approaches and asks Bayu where he and his daughter met. Mui says they have known each other since high school but didn't talk much and now, surprisingly, are together. The father is suspicious, but the mother says it's wonderful to hear. The father pulls Bayu aside and says that his wife will cook something delicious for them, placing them in his daughter's room and asking them to sit on the bed. Before Bayu can speak, the parents have already left the room. He asks the system if those are her real relatives and the system confirms with 100% certainty. The mother soon enters, bringing fruit, but the father drives her away, saying she is disturbing their fun and that they should enjoy their time together. Mui, embarrassed, explains that her parents are excited because it's the first time she's brought a boyfriend home. The protagonist thinks he hit the jackpot by getting involved with the girl, observing that her parents seem very excited. Behind the door, the parents listen and the father wonders why the two are so quiet, considering it the perfect opportunity for them. The mother, scared, expresses concern about what the young man might do with their daughter. The old man asks her to be calm and assures her they can't let them notice and assures her the cleaver is sharp for any eventuality. In the room, Bayu is confused by the situation and decides to clarify everything. He stands up but Mui, scared, runs from him. Bayu calms her, saying he just wants to talk. Thinking he wanted to fight, she apologizes and says she still needs to get used to the relationship. He understands her nervousness and steps back a bit, but she, embarrassed, asks him not to stay too far. Our boy observes Mui's beauty up close and wonders about the chance of holding her hand without her feeling disgusted, estimating a probability of 80%. Thinking about a hug, the chance drops to 76%, and for a kiss, the probability is 59%. He questions if he could, but remembers she is just a fake girlfriend to fool her parents. Confused by the situation, he decides not to get more involved. When Beta tries to explain, he trips and falls to the floor. Mui's father opens the door desperately, asking what he is doing with his daughter. Mui asks her father what he is doing. The mother quickly pulls the father out of the room. Bayu, confused, wonders if the father was holding a cleaver and thinks it was a close call. He concludes that the father really doesn't believe he is the boyfriend of his daughter. The mother, while hitting the father, asks him to explain why he had the cleaver. The father responds that he is just protecting his daughter and that there is nothing wrong with that. The boy thinks that pretending to be Mui's boyfriend is dangerous and that he almost got sliced, wanting to get out of this situation. Mui asks if he is okay, impressing him again with her beauty. The protagonist decides that he doesn't want to get involved in this family matter anymore, so he says they need to discuss the situation again. Surprised and somewhat angry, Mui asks if he regrets it. Bayu argues that he doesn't want to keep deceiving her parents and that this situation can only be resolved with a serious conversation with them. Mui, holding his arm, begs him to help her just this once. Outside, the father asks if they are fighting, while the mother, ignoring him, says it's his fault. Our boy leaves the room, walking past them, heading for the door, determined to leave as he begins putting on his shoes. The mother tells him not to put on his shoes because she spilled water while cooking. But she thinks he can't leave like that and suggests he spend the night there. The father agrees and reinforces the suggestion to Bayu. He invents an excuse about his sick nephew and decides to leave. In bed, the protagonist thinks that making money in a safe and calm manner is the only way. Back at the antique auction, old Wang, still resentful, prepares relics and is surprised to see Bayu. Wang tries to sell a set of porcelain, claiming it is of great value. Bayu, using his system, discovers that the items are genuine and worth much more than the offered price. After a quick negotiation, Bayu decides to buy the pieces, surprising Wang and leaving quickly with his acquisition. Old Wang considers the possibility that some of those items might be genuine but quickly dismisses the idea, thinking the protagonist is just a novice who gave him a $500,000 profit. At the corner, a pink car stops in front of the shop. A girl gets out of the car and asks Wang where the Tansenkai artifacts she sold the previous night are. She offers $1 million to get them back, claiming a porcelain piece in that set is very important to her grandfather. Wang is shocked, and the girl insists, pleading and explaining that it belongs to her grandfather and should not have been sold. The fat man responds that he wanted to sell but had already sold them to someone else. Wang's colleague comments that the boy paid $500,000 for them. Hearing this, the girl falls into desperate tears. Old Wang tries to console the girl, saying the items were fake. She angrily shouts that there was a genuine Tansenkai piece in the set worth $10 million. The other vendor, mocking Wang, highlights that he sold something of great value for very little. Inside a pawn shop, a man analyzes the item bought by Bayu. The old man comments on the item's impeccable condition and compares it with another he owns. The protagonist thinks the chance that the item belongs to the man is 100%, and the system confirms. The old buyer offers $9 million for it, a price Bayu promptly accepts. Our now richer boy receives a card from the buyer and leaves. Outside, he sees the girl from the pink car running toward the place. He thinks the chance of her tripping is 100% and warns her, preventing the fall. Despite the warning, the girl ends up tripping and Bayu catches her, preventing her from falling. Confused, the girl asked how he knew she was going to fall while people around question the scene. The girl asks to be let go, but Bayu responds that it is she who needs to let him go. After a brief tussle, she finally releases him and Bayu starts to leave. But the girl tells him to stop. She writes her number in his phone, stating she will resolve the situation later. Bayu is surprised and checks the girl's profile on his phone, thinking about his newfound wealth, considering buying a car or a house. As he walks, Old Wang asks if he has sold the porcelain and for how much. Bayu replies he sold it for $9 million, and Wang unexpectedly congratulates him despite having lost a great amount. The fat man from a distance is planning something malicious against our boy. Back at the pawn shop, the granddaughter arrives as the old man analyzes the item. She notices he has already bought it and nervously tries to leave quickly. The grandfather notices her nervousness and calls her to talk, suspecting she has done something wrong again. The last time she was this nervous, she sold one of his porcelains for 10 yuans, and the buyer came to his shop selling it for a very high price. The old man starts connecting the dots, and the granddaughter desperately flees the place. Running, the girl reflects on the quick transaction and the need to retrieve the piece before its value is discovered. She remembers the boy who mentioned she would fall and wonders if he really had such good foresight. Bayu feels a chill and asks the system if it's because of Old Wang, and the chance is confirmed to be 100%. He then speculates if Wang will try to trick him with fake relics again, and the system confirms. Thinking about his chances of success, Bayu concludes he needs to diversify his strategies to avoid relying solely on antiques. He reflects on his recent interactions, including with crazy women, and has an idea when he confirms there will be a valuable item at the pavilion the next day. While thinking about buying a car, Bayu sees the girl at the bus stop and notices she posted on her stories about leaving the car at her grandfather's shop. He notices the suspicious man in a hoodie and alerts the girl, who gets nervous and questions his intentions. The bus is arriving and the girl ignores Bayu's warning. The man starts approaching, and when he tries to harass her, she reacts violently, surprising Bayu with her strength. He concludes she must practice martial arts, while the girl is impressed with Bayu's ability to predict events. Trying to distance himself from her, Bayu thinks about the time it will take to get to the dealership. However, after some thoughts, he begins to suspect a potential arsonist on the bus. The system confirms that there is a criminal with 9 liters of gasoline planning to set the vehicle on fire. Desperate, Bayu calls the police, who initially doubt his detailed information. Bayu discovers that there is a police officer on the bus, but he doesn't know who the arsonist is. Using the system, he identifies the suspect in the back of the bus with a large backpack. The girl notices he is nervous and puts her hand on his shoulder, asking why he is running away from her. Seeing an opportunity, he yells at her, calling her a brute gorilla girl. The protagonist thinks that by doing this, the criminal will be distracted and might alert the police officer. The girl looks at him angrily and moves to attack. The protagonist throws himself to the side, opening the criminal's bag full of gasoline. The girl punches the criminal in the face, knees him in the stomach, and as he falls, she delivers a reverse kick to the back of his neck, knocking him out. She handcuffs the criminal and inspects the liquid, revealing it to be indeed gasoline. The protagonist is surprised to realize that the girl is a police officer. At the bus stop outside, Bayu tries to leave discreetly. The girl interrupts his departure and says she heard it was him who reported everything to the police and asks if he wouldn't like to give an explanation. He thinks the girl will be a problem all the time and is on his case. Bayu responds that if he tells her, she must keep it a secret or he will be in trouble because of her. The girl, in her thoughts, questions if he has some kind of power because he's guessing too much. Bayu realizes she doesn't believe anything. She continues insisting and doesn't know what to say. The girl asks again how he knew a man intended to set the bus on fire. Bayu responds that it was just a coincidence because it is his duty to help society. The girl doesn't believe him and pins him against the wall, saying he wasn't even on the bus when he called the police and hadn't even found the suspect yet. But even so, he knew he was carrying 8 liters of gasoline. The protagonist's fake girlfriend is watching the situation. Bae responds to the girl that he just guessed. She, hearing this, asks if his guesses now predict the future and says they are going to take a walk to the police station. The fake girlfriend arrives and asks what he is doing. The police officer asks if the two know each other, and the fake girlfriend responds yes, asking if he's okay. The protagonist, in his thoughts, realizes the situation is escalating and becoming even more worrying and maybe an opportunity. He winks at the fake girlfriend and says it's not what she's thinking. He didn't do anything with this girl because they have no relationship, but she is following him. Pointing to the police officer, Bae says he told her he has a girlfriend and asks why she keeps harassing him. Fazogso desperately says she has nothing to do with this. The crowd comments that, to be honest, the girl is really following Bae. Hearing this, the police officer becomes both embarrassed and angry. Bae continues with the scene, saying that the girl doesn't leave him alone no matter what he does. The fake girlfriend joins the scene and says he is her boyfriend and asks the girl to stop bothering him. The police officer doesn't want to give up but relents. Approaching, she punches Bae and says she's not interested in him but warns the fake girlfriend to be careful because her boyfriend might not be such a good person. Bae gets up and the fake girlfriend shows concern. He says it hurt a bit, but at least he got rid of that problem and thanks her for the help. Muley says it was nothing since he helped her in that situation, so now they are even. Kim, the devil's daughter, is watching the situation and didn't like seeing Bae involved with Muai. The next day, the protagonist reflects on the previous day and decides not to get involved with those crazy women. He just wants money and decides to go to the pavilion. Upon arrival, he sees that Old Wang is not there and the vendor next door says he went to the campus and will be back soon. In his thoughts, Bae wonders if he will be able to buy something from Old Wang today and if he can buy from other stalls. Harmoy realizes that he won't find any valuable relics today and decides to search anyway. After a while, he finds an item that the system confirms to be 100% genuine. He asks the merchant the price of the item and he responds it is 3,000 yuans. Bae asks for a 50% discount and the vendor quickly agrees. He thinks the vendor has no idea the item is authentic and decides to buy it immediately. The girl arrives and tells the merchant to sell it to her, saying she will pay the original 3,000 yuans. The merchant takes the item from Bae and hands it to the girl. Seeing this, Bae panics and offers 10,000 yuans. The girl doesn't back down and offers 30,000 yuans. Bae thinks the girl did it on purpose and now the vendor will realize the item is much more valuable and won't sell it easily. He says he will give 50,000 and that if she really wants it so much, she should offer a higher amount and it will be hers. The girl raises the bid to 100,000 yuans. Bae gets angry and thinks he can't fool Kim, wondering if she will raise the price even more. Kim, in turn, believes Bae is acting to sell a fake item. He finally accepts defeat. As Bae walks away, he thinks Kim entered the auction without analyzing properly because he trusts his system to find many other products. Receiving the product, she reflects that it really seems to be from the Jing dynasty, recognizing Bae's talent. As he walks, he notices the girl is following him and asks why. She responds that the street isn't his and it's none of his business. Bae continues going from shop to shop and Kim follows him, always outbidding him. He finally asks if she is doing this on purpose. Kim claims she can do whatever she wants since she has a lot of money and doesn't care. She reveals personal information about Bae, questioning his sudden rise and accusing him of cheating. Desperate, the protagonist defends himself, stating he just got lucky with the relics. Kim says her threats have scared him and Bae responds that she won't be able to stop him from making money. She laughs and challenges him, stating he won't make a cent that day. Bae decides to pretend interest in various items to confuse Kim. Suddenly, he asks all the vendors to sell all their items to him. The girl, realizing his tactic, tells the vendors she will buy everything with a 10% increase, while Bae challenges her to really buy it all. The vendors, excited, agree to sell to her. Bae mocks her, showing the transfer he received from the merchants as part of his plan. Kim gets furious and promises revenge. Bae just laughs, stating her threats are empty. Bae then leaves the pavilion, thinking that even though he made good money today, Kim's family is very powerful. He believes that if she tries to mess with him, it will cause problems. Additionally, he notices that the system has updated but hasn't seen any changes. The protagonist thinks that when he tests it, he will know the difference. Despite having the skills to make money, he recognizes that the problem is the lack of contacts. He wonders where he can find these contacts. In front of his car, a man is standing and asks if he is Bae, introducing himself as Miss Kim's butler. Bae asks if the man is there to put him to eternal sleep, warning that if that is the case, it will take more men than just the butler. The butler responds that Bae has misunderstood everything, explaining that his mistress sent him to invite Bae to a celebrity gathering as an apology for today's incident. Bae is surprised and thinks that a celebrity gathering as an apology doesn't make sense coming from Kim. However, he recognizes that if he goes to such a place, he will meet many wealthy people, making it a perfect chance to expand his contact list. After much thought, Bae finally agrees to the butler's proposal. An hour later, he is at the door of the venue. Kim Kim opens the door and says she didn't expect him to come since it took him so long. The protagonist replies that he never expected to be invited. Kim Kim glares at him and tells him to follow her because she will introduce him to some people. They start the introductions of the guests, beginning with the successor of the Shanghai Group, then the owner of StarTech, and ending with the owner of Heavy Media. Kim Kim asks Bayu if he knows the introduced guests, and he is impressed by them. Seeing his reaction, she thinks about the boy's ignorance, who got all nervous when he saw someone famous. Bayu quickly understands the situation and thinks that the girl wants to make a fool of him for being nervous. He knows that when he's nervous, thinking about it only makes things worse. The secret to breaking this cycle is to think about how people go to the bathroom. The peculiar strategy works, and Bayu starts greeting the guests correctly and without nervousness. Kim Kim is incredulous at seeing Bayu's calmness. 5 minutes later, the two are sitting at a table. She says she was surprised to see that he can talk to these people. Bayu responds that there is no difference between a celebrity and an ordinary person. The girl becomes serious and says that soon he will see the difference between them. The master of ceremonies arrives to make the announcement, saying that the esteemed guests should move on to the main topic of the illustrious gathering, a charity auction. He is surprised to learn that there will be such an event. Seeing an opportunity, she tries to mock him and asks if he doesn't know what a charity auction is. Our boy becomes serious and says he is not stupid enough not to know what such an event is. Kim Kim changes the subject and says she has a Ming Dynasty porcelain plate she wants to put in the auction. And since Bayu is an expert in relics, she hands it to him and asks him to estimate the price and bid for her. Bayu, devoid of intelligence, asks if she will really let him estimate the price and auction it. The girl replies that she has given him such a good help that he can even use his name in the bid. She reminds him that he wants money and says this is a good opportunity to improve his reputation in front of all these people. Bayu becomes thoughtful, recognizing that she is right. He knows that if he can improve his reputation with these wealthy people, he will take much more advantage of his skills. However, he becomes serious and asks if she is making fun of him somehow and why she is being so kind to him. Kim Kim sighs and replies that she has given up and doesn't want to be his enemy anymore. Our boy is still suspicious and starts talking to the system. He asks if Kim Kim gave him a fake product. The system replies that the product is genuine, being 100% from the Ming Dynasty and was recently sold for 2.5 million. The protagonist thinks that the relic may be real, but perhaps there is something wrong with the auction. He asks if the auction will go well, and the system indicates a 100% success rate. With the piece being genuine and the auction guaranteed, Bayu concludes that there is nothing to worry about. Recognizing that he is overthinking, and even if she wants to do something, he has the system on his side and has nothing to fear. After these thoughts, Kim Kim tries to take the box from Bayu. He asks her to calm down, and she says that if he doesn't want it, it's better to forget it. Bayu replies that he accepts her kindness. The auctioneer raises his hand and announces that the next and final item in the charity auction is the relic owned by Mr. Bayu. He looks back and sees Kim Kim with a malicious smile, thinking that her expression indicates something is wrong. The auctioneer continues, announcing the last relic in Bayu's possession. Bayu feels apprehensive and thinks that there's no use overthinking it. The piece is real and the system guaranteed a 100% success rate for the auction. So he decides to see what Kim Kim's trick is. Bayu turns to the audience and begins to introduce himself. During the presentation, he reveals the item he will auction, but unexpectedly, it is a roll of toilet paper. The audience is surprised, questioning if Bayu has some kind of mental illness, nervous about the situation. He thinks that he knew it wouldn't be so easy. Recalling when Kim Kim asked him to pick up an earring that fell on the floor, that was the moment she must have switched the items. The auctioneer asked Bayu if he feels like going to the bathroom, questioning why he would bring a roll of toilet paper to the auction. Kim Kim mocks him, thinking about how Bayu will handle the situation. He thinks that if he runs away, she will think even less of him and will despise him. Besides, it would be a lifelong shame. The protagonist decides that he has to sell the item as the auction's success rate is 100%. With the paper in hand, Bayu begins to tell a story about how the roll of toilet paper is the most precious gift he has ever received. He recalls his childhood when he was called a crybaby, and on his birthday he received the roll of toilet paper from his parents, who said that men are willing to bleed but not to shed tears. Shortly after that, Bayu's parents passed away unexpectedly. His family was very poor, and all he had were debts. Whenever he couldn't hold back, he would take a piece of paper and wipe his tears, telling himself that he had to be strong and move forward. And so, step by step, he reached that moment. Bayu states that the roll of toilet paper is a testament to his suffering, and at that important moment, he makes a point of auctioning his most important item to contribute to charity. The audience doesn't seem to care about Bayu's story, but a man in the back smoking says he liked the story and offers 100,000. The auctioneer raises his hand and closes the auction, stating that the sale is finalized. Bayu sighs in relief, thinking he was lucky to be good at inventing stories under pressure. He glares at Kim Kim, thinking that she wanted him to fail. She says he got lucky this time, but next time it will be impossible. Our boy thinks he saved his skin, but his plan to meet celebrities went down the drain. Now he is seen as a clown by these people. Bayu concludes that he will have to work hard to earn money and gain power, status, and dignity. A car passes by Bayu with Mui and the man who bought the toilet paper. Confused, our boy asks the system why they are together. The system responds that they have a collaborative business and are about to get married. Bayu realizes that the system is smart, or possibly due to the update. He reflects on the messy world of the rich and decides he wants to make money peacefully, returning to his old methods. Thinking about Old Wang, he asks the system if Old Wang found a gift recently. The system informs him that Old Wang is about to collect a treasure. The protagonist thinks that Old Wang is very strange. Every time he has treasures, but it's our boy who ends up with the fortune. He wonders if he shouldn't just cooperate with Wang, as he seems to have a lot of access to antiques. If any inconvenience arises, Wang can still intervene for him. The next day at the pavilion, the fat man is talking to someone on the phone, asking why the person hasn't arrived yet and mentioning that he's been waiting for a long time. The boy suddenly appears and Wang asks what he's doing there, saying there's nothing for him. The boy responds that Old Wang shouldn't be angry. He is there to talk about a collaboration, as Wang is a lucky person who always buys good things. The boy mentions that he can see all these valuable things, and if they work together, he guarantees they will be the best partners in the future, with a 50-50th split for each. The fat man asks why he needs to work with the boy, saying that he's been in this business for a long time and knows what he's doing. He asserts that the boy shouldn't be telling him what to do and should be ashamed to talk about collaboration, suggesting that he's there to affect his credibility again. The fat man tells the boy to get out of his sight, saying he doesn't want to see him anymore. The protagonist thinks that the fat man hates him because of the last two incidents. He concludes that now that Boss Wang is already angry, anything he says will only make the situation worse, deciding that it's better to retreat for now, as it's not worth fighting. Some other time, the opportunity to talk to him will arise, and sooner or later, Old Wang will cooperate. After that, two men pass by Bayu and go to talk to the fat man, who asks why it took them so long to arrive and asks to see the item. A man with a hat looks around suspiciously and says he's very sure that this is the 7-star sword of Kaka, which has been neglected for a long time. The fat man responds that he didn't even need to say it, as he can see it with his own eyes. The boy thinks about the 7-star sword of Kaka and observes it very closely. He asks the system if it's a real sword and what the chance is that it's a genuine product, getting the answer that the chance is 0%. Old Wang says it looks like a good thing and asks when they want to make the transaction. The protagonist starts to think about what happened to Wang and why he's going to buy a fake item. He wonders if the forgery is so good that the fat man can't see it, and the system informs him that the chance of him seeing that it's fake is 0%. The protagonist concludes that those two men must produce very good replicas, but they can't hide from his eyes. He tries to identify which part of the sword is fake but can't see it. The system asks if he's stupid and opens a screen of the item and starts showing several parts to him. The boy thinks that the fake part might be the jewel, but concludes that Old Wang has a good eye for artifacts and would have known from the start if the jewel was fake. Bayu wonders if it's a false bottom under the jewel, and if Wang would believe him if he said the sword was fake. He decides to use his special tactic, as there's no other way. He approaches and the fat man hides the sword, telling him to leave. Our boy asks for calm and says he heard the conversation about the 7-star sword. He observes closely and notices that the skill of whoever made it is very good, being really similar to the original. Old Wang doubts and says the sword is perfect. He mentions that he's been dealing with antiques for 10 years and knows very well what is fake and what is real. The fat man suspects that Bayu also wants the sword, and that's why he's saying those things. Old Wang asks why he doesn't leave him alone, stating that he never had anything against him. The protagonist proposes that if he proves the sword is fake, Boss Wang agrees to cooperate with him in the future. He responds that if the sword is real, Bayu might be saying it's fake to buy it later, and states that he doesn't believe him. The boy asks what the price of the sword is, and Wang reveals that it's worth 500,000. Bayu says that if the item is not fake, he will pay the fat man 10 times the value. Placing the sword on Bayu's chest, the fat man accepts the challenge and tells him to prove that the sword is fake, asserting that he's sure it's a genuine product. The boy asks everyone to watch closely, and with a bottle in hand, he hits the item, making the yellow jewel fall off. He places the item in front of the fat man's face, revealing a QR code. This proves that the item is fake, leaving Old Wang very angry. When Wang looks back, the two men have run away. The fat man turns and asks how the boy knew it was a fake sword, suggesting that he hired the crooks just to make the partnership. The boy responds that if he could have a product of that level, he would have tried to cooperate with Wang and sold it to him. And as for his methods, he says that people from the mountains like him have magical methods. Wang asks Bayu not to be so arrogant. He sees an opportunity and announces the collaboration for artifacts between the two once again. The fat man responds negatively, saying they will not collaborate. He calls the protagonist a weird kid and asserts that he can't figure him out, predicting that he might betray him in the future. Wang suggests that the protagonist find someone else to collaborate with. Our boy tries to convince Wang, reminding him of the bet they made and asking if he's really going to break the promise. Wang responds that he's been working in this market for a long time and that no one is honest here, referring to the two men who were there before. The fat man concludes by saying there will be no collaboration but offers the protagonist to choose anything from the stall as thanks for his help. Bayu is intrigued by the situation and asks about all the items there. Wang proudly displays his treasures, showing off a cloak and a bowl with grand stories, but the protagonist comments that they seem like simple and common items. Old Wang is speechless in the face of the criticism but tries to highlight the value of the artifacts despite the flaws pointed out. The protagonist is disappointed with what he has seen so far and starts thinking about what the system said, that today he would find something valuable with Wang, but so far nothing. He then pulls something out of a bag announcing a double sword used by Liu Bai and Liu Xuanzang during the Three Kingdoms and guarantees it is 100% real. Bayu doubts the item is real and asks the system. The system confirms with 100% certainty but still has no specific information about the item. Our boy is incredulous with this statement and still in doubt asks if it is really real. Wang assures him it is and refuses to give it to Bayu, as it is a valuable piece that he intends to profit greatly from. The protagonist realizes this is the opportunity he was waiting for and decides to act to acquire the sword. He provokes Wang, mentioning that he also believed in the 7-star sword before, asking him what the great treasure is this time. The fat man gets angry and calls him an idiot for not seeing the details. Bayu continues provoking, saying that Wang also believed in the details of the 7-star sword, insinuating that this double sword must also have a QR code. Wang becomes disheartened, realizing he may have been deceived again, feeling disappointed in himself for trusting the artifacts. Before Wang throws the sword to the ground, the protagonist interrupts and asks for its price. The fat man, resigned, tells the protagonist to take whatever he wants as he is disheartened by the situation. Bayu thanks him but decides he needs to sell the sword for a good price to avoid feeling guilty. He plans to use the sword to gain Wang's trust and explore future opportunities in the Antiquities Circle. Our boy goes to Mr. Xie, asking a woman about him who responds that Mr. Qi is busy. The protagonist asks the system if Mr. Che knew he was present at that place, would he attend to him, with the system confirming with 100% certainty. Bayu announces to the woman that the person who sold Tang Sankai is present. She is surprised and says she will call Mr. Qi immediately. The protagonist feels a shiver when he hears a voice recognizing him as the seller of Tang Sankai. He turns and sees the gorilla girl preparing to confront him. The system alerts about an imminent fight with a 100% chance of injuries. The girl tries to attack him, but the protagonist manages to dodge and flee. Mr. Che, who is the girl's grandfather, arrives and reprimands her, asking her to calm down. She leaves, warning Bayu not to appear in front of her again. The protagonist knows he barely escaped, but is aware that Zoxao will not leave him alone. Mr. Che apologizes for his granddaughter's behavior and explains that she is not bad, just impulsive. Bayu observes Mr. Che, realizing that he's thinking about something important. The system informs him that it still cannot read minds without the necessary upgrades. Mr. Chi invites Bayu for tea and a chat, indicating that there are important matters to be discussed. Our boy entered the room and commented that the tea room was extraordinary. The elder replied that he thought the room was a mess, but it wasn't something just anyone could have, adding that if he wasn't mistaken, the young man must have brought a treasure. He confirmed, telling Mr. Chi to take a look at this specific piece. Mr. Chi examined it and said it seemed like a treasure from the Eastern Tao Han dynasty. Bayu felt confident, agreeing and adding that ordinary things were not worthy of Mr. Xie, stating that only precious objects like that deserved to be in the elder's collection. The old man explained that it was an Eastern Han double sword that had been auctioned for 5 million. Our boy suggested that the sword was used by Liu Bai. The elder showed surprise, commenting that if that were the case, the price would increase tenfold. The protagonist continued, saying that great objects should be used by great masters, and he thought Mr. Che was the perfect match for that sword, mentioning that the younger generation wanted to give that sword as a gift to express their admiration. The old man asked why the young man wanted to give something so good to an old man like him, commenting that if the young man sold that sword to an international buyer, he would have money to reach the heavens. The boy replied that the most important thing was for the sword to find a good master like the elder. Mr. Che, looking directly at him, placed the sword on the table and said that was fine, but first, they should drink the first tea. Bayu looked, wondering if the old man was not satisfied with the sword or if he was dissatisfied with him. The system replied that the satisfaction rate with the sword was 100%, while with the young man it was only 10%. The elder said that the gift was too much, and he wouldn't dare accept it. He explained that he made friends based on people's character and skills, not their gifts. He proposed they remain just gentlemanly colleagues. The protagonist reflected that the rejection was direct, wondering if the old man thought he was not qualified to be his friend. The system confirmed that the perception was that he was not qualified. The elder explained that the sword was an excellent piece, and that its market price was 5 million. He assured the young man that he would pay according to that price, and said that if the young man found something even better in the future, he could bring it and he wouldn't treat him badly. The protagonist thought that he was going to give that sword as a gift to make friends with the old man, but he rejected it because he believed the young man was not qualified. Finding the old man interesting, he emphasized that without skill, he could not be his friend. He turned to the elder and said that in business, it was not just a matter of money, but also skills and competencies that were important. Mr. Shi asked what he meant by that. Our boy replied that he just said if that sword had been used by Liu Bai, it would be worth 50 million. The old man asked if he was so sure that the sword was used by Liu Bai. Our protagonist confirmed, saying that the elder must be wondering how he knew that. Mr. Chi commented that he noticed the young man had talented eyes and asked how he knew that. He explained that actually he was an ordinary person, but he happened to learn about divination calculations. The elder asked what he was talking about and if he knew how to see any antiquity just by calculating. Bayu confirmed and said it wasn't just antiquities, commenting that at that moment, Soxa was outside that window trying to listen to their conversation. Outside, the girl was trying to climb. She thought that Bayu was trying to deceive her grandfather again, so she needed to hear what they were talking about. When she looked up, her grandfather was staring at her. Our protagonist greeted Zod, explaining that he didn't expect her to have that ability. She asked why he was provoking her. Her grandfather yelled at her, scaring the girl, saying she was wrong, and she ran away. Our young man continued, asking if Mr. Shane now believed he could guess things. The elder replied that maybe he had just heard the movement outside and deduced it was Foxa, explaining that this was not enough to convince him that the young man could foresee things. Our protagonist thought the old man was really difficult. He asked Mr. Che how he could make him believe in him. The elder replied that if he could guess, that question shouldn't be asked of him. Our young man thought about what to do to make the old man believe in him. If he couldn't convince him quickly at that moment, things would only get stranger in the future. Wondering what the probability of convincing him was, the system gave an 87% chance. It was high, but if you talked to him about all the antiquities in the room, what would the chance be? The system gave a 100% chance. After his thoughts, he told Mr. Chi that he observed his dining room and noticed he had 26 antiquities. The elder replied that seeing there were 26 antiquities only showed that he knew how to count, so that had nothing to do with divination. The protagonist asked Mr. Chi and listened carefully to what he had to say. The old man replied that he was all ears. Our boy thought that with the old man so calm, there was no reason to worry. He activated the system and several 3D information displays appeared. After a burst of data, he began to talk about specific details of an item. The old man responded that the boy was doing well. Bayu continued, saying that the set was a royal utensil worth about $20 million. The old man confirmed but said that this still wasn't enough to convince him. Then, Bayu mentioned that the Black Jade platform was a Ming Dynasty revolutionary object worth about $5 million, and that had also been used by Shang Zujin, assistant chief of the Wenlin Dynasty cabinet. Surprised, Mr. Chi asked how Bayu knew that, as it took 2 years for all the elders to discover it. Bayu, his ego-boosted, replied that it was natural calculations, a form of divination, and asked the old man to relax because he hadn't finished yet. Che, a bit unsettled, asked Bayu to continue. He proceeded with his knowledge, saying that the brush holder was from Emperor Jiang Qin's study room of the Qin dynasty, and that they were from the time of the Republic of China. The bronze jar was from the Song dynasty, produced during the spring and autumn period. The white porcelain and the Hulshan furnace were also from the Yuan dynasty. After describing all the antiques in the room, the old man was completely confused. Bayu then asked if the old man still doubted his abilities. He replied that he couldn't believe it if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes. Bayu was satisfied and asserted that the sword had been used by Liu Bai, and asked if the old man believed now. Mr. Chi admired Bayu's intelligent calculations, responding that the elders conducted various researches to determine the origin of the items. However, he feared that claiming the sword was used by Liu Bai based only on Bayu's word was a bit too mysterious to be proven. The protagonist was confused and wondered if the old man still didn't believe him, but the system said that the old man believed 100%. He wondered why, now that the old man believed, he was still challenging him. Our boy speculated that Mr. Chi had something to say or needed his help, and the system indicated there was a 100% chance. Bayu continued, thinking that the old man was impressive, because he had just been outdone by the protagonist's talent and now was trying to use tricks. Our boy acknowledged that the old man was truly a prominent elder in the antique circle. Observing Mr. Shea, Bayu wondered if the problem was related to antiques, and the system confirmed with 100%. The protagonist realized that Mr. Chi wanted to discover something about the authenticity of a piece. The protagonist asked Mr. Che if there was something he wanted Bayu to identify. Surprised, the old man asked how he knew, but admitted that he was recently troubled by something related to an antique. He explained that if our boy could help determine the authenticity of the piece, it would be a great help. The protagonist thought this was the perfect chance. If he could solve the problem, he could seal a friendship with the old man. Aloud, Bayu said he would be happy to help and affirmed that Mr. Chi's business was like his own. Chi thanked him, and the two descended a staircase to a basement. The young man commented on the size of the basement. The old man explained that in their business, one needed to be careful because some important treasures needed to be hidden there. He mentioned that he recently received a blue and white Nine Dragon jar, a piece of exceptional quality. The protagonist thought that the old man was truly worthy of being the great elder. Compared to him, an old Wang, who seemed like street beggars. The two entered the vault and Chi mentioned that he tried his best, but no matter how he looked, the jars still seemed genuine. The protagonist wondered why the old man had so many doubts. She confessed that he always felt uncertain and thought something was wrong, which was why the deal wasn't concluded. He asked Mr. Bayu to verify the authenticity of the jar and offered 1.5 million as his service fee, regardless of the results. Upon hearing this, Bayu thought the old man framed the situation as if he was only interested in the money. But Bayu's ambition now wasn't money. They reached the front of a second vault that housed the Nine-Dragon jar. Mr. Chi presented the object and our boy was impressed by the size and beauty of the jar. The old man explained that the market value of the jar was 1.3 billion and asked the young man to verify its authenticity. Bayu replied that he would do his best to help. The young man examined the jar and waited for a response from the system, which said he needed to ask a question to get the correct answer. So the protagonist asked the system if the jar was original, with the system responding that it was 100% fake. He was at a loss as to how to prove the jar was fake. The system showed the location of the evidence of forgery, but he would need to break the bottom of the jar with a 4% chance of losing the evidence. The protagonist thought that even knowing it was fake, the chance of destroying the jar was dangerous. If he breaks it carelessly, the piece worth 1.3 billion could ruin his life. However, if he doesn't take the risk, the old man won't believe him. He wonders if normal people could identify the jar as fake, and the system responds that the probability is 1.4%. Desperate, the protagonist realizes it's almost impossible for a normal person to identify the jar. If even Mr. Chi is having difficulty, other experts will too. He understands it's very risky. If he breaks the jar without care, it will be his ruin. However, if he doesn't take the risk, you'll lose the old man's trust. Mr. Che stared at Bayu and asked if he had discovered anything. He crossed his arms and responded that he could say with certainty that the jar was fake. The old man, not fully convinced, asked if he could prove it. Bayu explained that the evidence was at the bottom of the jar. They both looked at the bottom of the jar and the old man commented that he had examined it many times and it didn't seem like anything was wrong. So he asked where the mentioned proof was. Bayu responded that the proof was inside the bottom of the jar. Incredulous, the old man asked if Bayu wanted to break the jar. Bayu confirmed that unfortunately, that was the only way to prove the piece was fake. The old man said that since the deal wasn't closed yet, the jar wasn't in his possession, and he would have to inform Mr. Zhang about it given the importance of the matter. Bayu thought that he was also terrified of breaking the jar, but needed to take the risk. Out loud, he said that he would take responsibility and that they could contact the owner of the jar for a face-to-face confrontation. The old man agreed and said he would call Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang arrived with a suspicious expression and asked Mr. Chi what the problem was. Chi explained that there was an urgency related to the jar. Our boy noticed that Mr. Chi had stepped out of the situation and put the responsibility on him. Bayu realized there was no way out and confidently said that Mr. Zhang had a talent for selling fake items. Zhang was confused and asked what he was insinuating. The protagonist stated that he knew the Nine-Dragon jar was fake. Incredulous, Zhang responded that several experts had analyzed the jar and said it was real and asked Bayu, whom he had never heard of, to show the problem. He thought that Zhang was confident in the fraud and recognized the difficulty of identifying the jar due to the technology used. Out loud, he said they could discover the truth by breaking the jar even at the risk. Zhang interrupted him and said he would no longer sell the jar and that Bayu couldn't break it. He joked, saying Zhang didn't want to sell because he knew it was fake. Zhang got irritated and asked how our boy dared to talk like that and stated that he wouldn't sell something fake. The protagonist thought that Zhang was a scoundrel because he realized he was trying to prevent the fraud from being discovered, but he decided not to let that happen. Suddenly, Bayu struck the jar, breaking it and scattering pieces everywhere. Everyone was incredulous at seeing this. Desperate, Zhang asked Mr. Che why he let our boy do that. The old man asked for calm and said that if he didn't show evidence, he would have to give an explanation and pay for everything. Bayu fell into despair because he knew there was no turning back and he needed to find the flaw. However, Chi warned that if the protagonist showed there was something wrong with the jar, he would have a serious conversation with Zhang. Bayu thought the old man was dangerous and couldn't miss the opportunity. He asked where the flaw was and the system indicated it was close. Paying attention, he asked the system if he would destroy the flaw with the blow he was about to deliver. The system warned that with the force he was using, he had a 58% chance of breaking the flaw. Bayu interrupted the blow, realizing the risk and thought he almost missed the opportunity. He decided to try with less force. The system indicated that the chance of destruction would be 13%. Bayu calmed down and understood he needed to chip away at the area little by little. Quickly, he began to panic, realizing the old men wouldn't believe him if he took too long. Zhang started laughing and told Shi that despite everyone saying the jar was real, Bayu insisted it wasn't. Zhang said that out of friendship, he allowed the protagonist to break the jar, but now he asked where the evidence was and mentioned that he had several offers from many companies. The old man interrupted and said not to worry because if it was the case, he would pay the money. Bayu was sweating, thinking about what he would do if he didn't find the flaw, asking for it to appear soon. He gave a small tap that broke everything, falling into despair, thinking the evidence was destroyed. However, he pointed to a QR code and asked what that was. Mr. Che got angry and demanded an explanation from Zhang. He fell to the floor in disbelief but was already being dragged away by Mr. Che's henchmen. Bayu thought he had at least survived, but then he remembered Wang's sword that also had a QR code. He began to suspect that the sword and the jar came from the same place. Mr. Chi thanked the protagonist, saying he did a great job and was very grateful. He humbly responded that he just wanted to help a friend with a problem and that it was every man's responsibility to end lies and bring out the truth, adding that no one should be deceived. Mr. Chi pulled something from his pocket and handed it to Bayu, saying it was his personal business card. He said that in the future, whenever he needed help, he could call him, and that from now on they were like family. Our boy responded that it was an honor to help and that he was at Mr. Che's service, thanking him. In his thoughts, Bayu rejoiced, realizing that he now had a big shot to support him. He tallied his achievements, 50 million from the double sword and 10 million from the divination service. Plus, he had gained the friendship of Mr. Chi and even broke a jar worth 1.3 billion, deciding that his next step now was to help Wang. The next day, Bayu was in his car thinking about the fat Wang. He decided he would share 10 million from the sale of the double sword with him and wanted to see if Wang would still reject him. As he turned the corner, Bayu saw old Wang being taken away by some men. Bayu thought they were kidnapping the fat man, with the system saying there was a 75% chance it was a kidnapping. Without time to think, he decided to follow the kidnappers because the safety of his future brother could not be ignored. The kidnappers sped up and were already in another part of the city. Bayu wondered what this group would do with the fat Wang, and the system said there was only a 12% chance they would ask for ransom. He decided to call the police but realized his phone had no signal. Then he asked the system about the chance of the signal being blocked, and it informed him there was a 95% chance. The protagonist wondered how they were blocking the signal, and the system said there was a 37% chance of rescuing the fat man. He decided that was enough and that no one would stop him. Our boy began asking the system various questions to know the timing of everything. The system explained that after 5.8 seconds, the guard would pass through the door and then turn right. Bayu seemed to have a map that the system had made for him. The system continued explaining that after turning right in 30 meters, the guard would come out in 8 seconds, where there would be a window to jump through. The guards were talking about why the boss had captured the fat Wang, speculating that his 7-star sword was of their production and he came to investigate, so they needed to teach him a lesson. They beat the fat man and put a sock in his mouth. The window opened and Bayu appeared, removing the sock from Wang's mouth. Wang, not understanding anything, asked how our boy knew he was there and if he had followed him or was part of the kidnappers. Bayu slapped him on the head and said he was there to save him, asking who had kidnapped him. The fat man responded that he didn't know because he was caught by surprise, beaten, and then tied up there. Our boy thought it didn't matter because he would find out the system later, and the important thing was to get out of there. He asked Wang to get up, but he replied that he couldn't because he was a fat man who had been beaten and couldn't get up, suggesting that Bayu should run and save himself, saying he was already very grateful for the help with the 7-star sword. The protagonist thought it had been very difficult to get there to save Wang. He had an idea and asked the fat man if he remembered the last time he said he was like a younger brother. Wang said he remembered and responded that he would only be able to be someone's brother in the next life. Bayu showed him a check for 60 million and the fat man quickly got up, asking where he got all that money. Bayu told Wang to stop asking because they needed to get out of there. Our boy offered 10 million if they both managed to escape, and he agreed upon hearing the amount. Outside, the kidnappers were talking about the boss, saying the fat man didn't know anything, so they let them handle him, but now they would have to dig a big hole to bury him. Wang, hearing the conversation, asked what they would do now, fearing they would bury him. The protagonist told him not to worry because he came to save him, but he was also scared. The kidnappers reached the door and seeing that the fat man was no longer there, panicked. Seeing a rope by the window, the kidnappers assumed he had escaped through it and went towards the window. But Bayu and Wang hid behind a box and then started running. Bayu said it was a good thing they had that idea. The old man responded that it really was a good idea because he wouldn't have been able to escape through the window. The kidnappers tried to chase the two, saying that old Wang couldn't have gotten far and that he must be close by. Our boy and Wang ran, nearly getting caught. Asking the system for the safest route, it responded with a 72% chance on the right and 30% on the left. Seeing Bayu choosing the paths, the fat man asked if he had been there before and if he knew the way. Our boy replied that he hadn't, but Wang insisted on asking how he knew where they were going. The protagonist then said he had a talent for guessing and asked if the fat man didn't believe in his abilities. Hearing this, Wang was impressed and asked Bayu to teach him. The protagonist responded that he would teach him after they got out of there. However, someone was watching their escape on the cameras. A man introduced Bayu to another person. The mysterious person replied that it was him who ruined his business. The man confirmed that Bayu had destroyed the 7-star knife and the 9-dragon jar. The mysterious person, who seemed to be from the army, said that despite Bayu appearing to be just an ordinary guy, the problem was dealing with Old Chi. He questioned what the protagonist and the fat man were capable of. The man suggested arresting Old Chi the next day. Upon hearing this, the military man kicked the guy in the stomach, calling him a pig, and said that arresting Old Chi would ruin all his plans. He threatened the man on the ground, saying that if he mentioned it again, he would leave him bleeding on the floor. The boss concluded that it was Old Chi who saw through everything and used Bayu as a scapegoat to break the vase. He promised to deal with Old Chi and discuss with his older brother how they would handle him. Meanwhile, Bayu was calculating the escape routes. He realized that the options were limited and that they were exhausted, considering taking a shortcut. The system showed routes with escape chances ranging between 37% and 41%. They headed toward the door Wang had entered, and the success rate increased as they approached the gate. Bayu found it too easy, and suddenly the door was shut. Shouts warned that the two were standing at the gate. The system warned that the escape chance was 3.4%, with the best route offering 28%. Bayu froze, and amid the chaos, a car arrived with several gangsters. He thought that the system had killed him that day, but there was no time for those thoughts as the only option was to fight. After numerous punches and intense fighting, everyone present was on the ground. However, Bayu and Wang were still standing. A cigarette fell to the ground and the final boss arrived, asking the two to come along. Bayu approached and tried to strike. The boss easily dodged and delivered a punch that sent Bayu spinning. Wang tried to join in but took another punch and fell to the ground. The boss wanted more, but Wang had already given up, asking to be killed because he was too tired. Hearing this, the military man said they had invaded his base, messed up his business, and beaten up his henchmen, and they thought they would die easily. Bayu thought about what he was saying, but decided it wasn't the time to think about that. He needed to try to get out of there, asking the system for the odds of getting out alive. The system responded that the chance was 33%, and he thought that wasn't too bad. Seeing our boy focused, Wang thought he was planning the escape and decided to buy some time. Getting up, Wang told the boss he was going to play, but he soon received a kick to the stomach and a punch to the jaw. Surprisingly, Wang was still standing. The protagonist thought that the fat man wasn't good for fighting, but for taking hits, and wondered if he was the key to escaping. The system confirmed that old Wang was the key to escaping with 100% certainty. Desperate, Bayu said he didn't know how, but he needed Wang to use his power now because it was a matter of life and death. The fat man turned indignantly and said that just because he was fat, Bayu thought he was Kung Fu Panda, but since that was the case, there was no other choice. Throwing himself at the boss's legs, Wang said he would ask his wife to send money and asked how much he wanted. Seeing this, everyone felt awkward, but Wang took advantage of the situation and knocked the boss to the ground. The boss realized he had been tricked by the fat man and became furious. He kicked Wang, who fell to the ground, and started beating him mercilessly. Bayu saw this and felt sorry for Wang, remembering that when people lose control, they can become stronger for a short period of time. He asked the system if Wang also had this ability, and the system reported a 78% chance. The boss, lighting a cigar, says he's tired of beating the two of them and orders his henchmen to finish the job. The henchmen assure the boss that he doesn't need to worry, and Lamphid asks Bayu if he has any last words. Bayu looks at Wang and says there's something he's been hiding from him. The double-edged sword was actually real. Wang, who was lying on the ground, instantly gets up. Bayu continues, saying he sold the sword for 60 million Rias and that the money he showed Wang came from that sale. He reveals that he told Old Chi that Wang's items were fake and that the old man was going to make him disappear from that place. Moreover, Bayu reminds Wang about the 7-star sword and claims that it belonged to him and his friends who were deceiving him. Foaming with rage, the fat man says he's going to kill Bayu. Suddenly, Wang takes down 3 enemies and heads toward Bayu. He punches him in the stomach, throwing him against a gate and making him fall. After this surge of energy, the fat man faints. Our boy, with a metal plate in his shirt to cushion the impact of the punch, comments that he would have died at Wang's hands if it weren't for that. He puts Wang in the car, commenting that he's really heavy. However, the protagonist knows he needs to find out who these people are first. The military man on the ground says they will meet again. At the hospital, old Wang is all bandaged up, complaining that he almost lost his life during that escape. Bayu responds that if it weren't for the escape, both of them would have died. Wang asks about what Bayu said and wants to know what was true and what was a lie. Bayu responds that except for the double-edged sword, everything was a lie. He assures Wang that he won't break the promise that half of the money from the sale of the sword is his. Our boy promises that he will never betray Wang in the future and that he will be his business partner. Wang starts crying, calling him a liar, but Bayu asks him to believe and assures him that he won't lie to him again. The conversation is interrupted when Wang remembers that Bayu promised to teach him how to guess. Bayu responds that with the fat man's qualifications, it will be difficult. Wang insists that he doesn't care about the difficulty and reminds Bayu that now he has to take responsibility for him, suggesting that he should receive a gift for this meeting. Our boy thinks that Wang only has money on his mind, but the fat man raises his arm, saying that the antiquities circle will be theirs, and then feels a pain in his arm. The protagonist gets up and asks if the fat man really doesn't know who was responsible for the kidnapping. Wang replies that he doesn't, stating that if he knew, he would have done something to settle the score. The fat man explains that the only different thing he did was investigate the forgery of the 7-star sword, questioning if that could be related. Our boy thinks about the dragon vase being involved with the same group, and the system confirms with 100% certainty. He reflects on the level of fraud within the group, realizing that he has been involved with 2 items related to them. He then asks the system what the chances are of being targeted by this group, and the system responds with 100%. Beiyu realizes that Wang was kidnapped because of him, with the system informing a 60% chance of this theory being true. Concluding that it was partially because he indicated the 7-star sword was fake, he understands that with his current strength, it will be difficult to deal with the group, deciding that he needs to go into hiding. Wang apologizes for involving the protagonist, but he thinks that the fat man hardly knows that he was the one who got him involved in this situation. But our boy promises to protect Wang now that he has recognized him as a brother. Beiyu's phone rings and it's Mr. Che asking if everything is okay. The protagonist thanks him for the concern and thinks that since Chi called personally, he suspects it has something to do with the Antiquity Circle. She informs him that he will be out of town for a few days and recommends that Beiyu and Wang be careful, as the gang won't let them go easily. Our boy asks if she has more details, and he responds that it's not clear yet, but the group has a considerable history, and he warns Beiyu to stay alert. Che promises to talk more when he returns. The protagonist thanks him for the information, understanding that the enemies are indeed dangerous. Wang comments that Beiyu talks calmly with Chi, and it seems they don't need to worry. However, our boy ignores Wang and thinks that if Chi isn't doing anything, the situation is more complicated than he imagined. He reflects on how he got involved in this and wishes he had avoided breaking the 9-dragon vase. The scene shifts to an isolated house where the military man is on the phone discussing the importance of old Chi and some recent disturbing research. He asserts that to avoid suspicion, they need to kill Beiyu and Wang. Another Lamphit on the line responds that they, from the ancient circle, will use traditional methods to eliminate the two, saying that the show is about to begin. A few days later, Wang is walking around the mask, fearing that assassins might be lurking nearby. Beiyu, irritated, asks if the fat man is stupid, reminding him that no assassin would operate in broad daylight. Still scared, Wang suggests they should hide until old Shi returns. However, the protagonist thinks that waiting for death solves nothing and that they need to take the initiative. Wang asks our boy if he's crazy for wanting to face them all again, reminding him of how cruel those people are and how they had to flee. Beiyu questions him, wanting to know if he prefers to keep hiding like a rat, reminding him of the motivated guy he once knew. He asserts that the priority is gathering information to take the initiative. He reminds Wang of his ambition to dominate the Antiquities Circle, saying that getting rid of the enemies is half the battle. Wang becomes motivated, removes his disguise, and decides not to be afraid. The protagonist asks if he has any scheme to gather information. He responds that he knows a guy in the north of the city who is well informed as long as he's bribed. Beiyu consults the system, asking if going there would help in investigating the fraud gang. The system confirms that going there is useful, but that specific informant won't help with information about the gang, that there will be a better specialist there. Suddenly, they find themselves at a night market for antiquities. Our boy is impressed with the place and asks how Wang manages to see the products at night. Wang explains that the market starts at night and ends at dawn, suggesting that he shows Beiyu a place. Behind a wall, a suspicious figure observes the two and speaks on the phone, saying that they've arrived at the night market and that everything has been arranged as instructed. The interlocutor promises a reward if the mission succeeds. Back at the market, the suspect mutters to himself about the 100,000 reward for spreading rumors to ruin Wang's reputation, saying that Wang shouldn't blame him for what he did. However, another mysterious man watches him leave the alley. Meanwhile, the fat man brags to the protagonist about his reputation at the market, claiming that everyone knows him and that he's done business with many there. However, when he greets two people, he is ignored with a look of disdain, leaving him confused. Beiyu mocks the situation, sarcastically commenting on Wang's great reputation. Wang tries to explain, saying he mistook the people and that the stalls he frequented are over there, suggesting they go check them out. The man on the phone who is smoking doesn't even look at Wang and tells him to pick whatever he wants. Wang, being friendly, calls him Brother Su, asking if there are any good things available. Seeing that it's the fat man, Su responds coldly, saying everything is reserved and that Wang can go anywhere else. The fat man, irritated, asks if Su is on meds because he has no right to treat him like that. Su responds aggressively, telling Wang to stop bothering him and asserting that he won't sell to him anyway. The two stare at each other for a moment, but Beiyu senses something is wrong. He tells Wang to look around and notices that everyone is staring at them. Quickly, the protagonist realizes they walked into a trap. As they head toward an alley, the merchants start booing them, saying they're not welcome. Wang, confused, comments that he's always been treated well there and doesn't understand the hostility. Our boy tells him to shut up and follow him. 10 minutes later, the two return in disguise and Wang complains, saying that he's always been polite and welcome, but now everyone has turned against him. Bayu tells him to be quiet, saying they'll soon find out why. They approach two merchants who are talking. One of them says that Wang is working for old Shi, who wanted to buy the jar, but since he didn't have the money, he had Wang destroy it and claim it was fake. The other mentions that Bayu is an accomplice and that the owner of the nine-dragon jar was thrown into the reservoir. The first merchant wonders why no one calls the police, and the other responds that old Shi is a big shot in the antiquities circle and no one messes with him. He mentions seeing Wang and Bayu walking around the market recently. An old merchant questions the truth of the rumors, but the first insists that where there's smoke, there's fire, and that everyone believes it. Old Wang, furious, is about to say something, but Bayu covers his mouth and the two hide in an alley. The protagonist thinks that the rumors might have been spread by the fraud group, and the system confirms a 67% probability of a connection. Wang, once again irritated, wants to know who spread the lies, but our boy explains that the rumors are aimed at old She. Since he's a big shot in the antiquities circle, he doesn't care about such things. As a result, the rumors have ended up severely impacting both of them instead. The fat man becomes worried and comments that the situation won't end well. Bayu agrees that it's a sinister plan, but fortunately, they discovered it in time. Wang asks how they will find the person who spread the rumors, and Bayu responds that they don't need to search because a noble man will appear at the night market to help them. Surprised, the fat man asks what this man looks like, and Bayu says he doesn't know, but the most important task is to find him. Suddenly, old Wang disappears, but Bayu soon sees him negotiating with a merchant. The merchant praises Wang for his good eye, showing him a Dina-Shikan organ box and saying that it's mysterious and full of secrets. However, it cannot be opened, so he offers the box for 30,000, and Wang tries to negotiate, saying he will pay 3,000. The merchant, reluctant, asks Wang to increase the offer, mentioning that he's going through hard times. Our boy asks the system what the chances are of the item being genuine, and the system confirms it with 100% certainty. Bayu thinks Wang is being sly but decides to let him handle the negotiation. The fat man raises the offer to 5,000, and the merchant, still hesitant, accepts. Wang is satisfied and comments that he'll make good use of the box, while the resigned merchant admits that he would only make a small profit from the sale. The merchant wishes Wang good luck if he plans to sell it. However, just as Wang is about to respond, a mysterious hand is placed on the box. It belongs to a man with a frightening appearance, who says that the two of them are not to be trusted. Our boy thinks this is a problem, but the fat man recognizes the man as Hong Tai. Bayu thinks their goal is to find the nobleman, so they shouldn't waste time. Wang adjusts his disguise and questions why the item cannot be sold to them. The man looks and says that this box is not from the Kim dynasty, but from the Ming dynasty and should be worth more than 300,000. The crazy people are already in shock. The protagonist asks the fat man who the guy is. Wang responds that he is Hong Tai, a caretaker of the Wu family's antique house, and unfortunately, he had some issues with him. Our boy says that this is what's happening, and it seems he recognized Wang and is trying to cause trouble on purpose. The fat man says he doesn't know because the man keeps staring at everyone with that serious face. The crazy man interrupts and says that they both have poor vision and an even worse personality. He doesn't know how they have the courage to come to this place. The protagonist wonders why he is trying to provoke them, considering the guy might have recognized him. Wang says his vision might not be as good as his, and his personality might not be as good either. He says that the man may even be a martial artist, but he shouldn't be arrogant in his speech, adding that martial artists are all from Zhu Lanshan or Yubo Kun. Upon hearing this, the man stared angrily, and the protagonist wonders why he is looking as if he wants to kill Wang. Our boy asks the system if the guy is from those lands, confirming it to be 0%. The crowd comments that this fat man is going to get beaten up, but for a moment, they think this fat man looks familiar. Bayu thinks that if this continues, they will be exposed, and the plan to find the nobleman will be ruined. In response to this situation, our boy thanks for the warning and says he is leaving. But upon seeing this, the man immediately blocks Bayu's way. The guy insinuates that the protagonist is dishonest for trying to buy the item cheaply, even though he knows its true value. Wang doesn't understand what is being said at first, but the protagonist thinks that the man is really trying to cause trouble. Our boy notices that the guy is trying to draw the crowd's attention as much as possible, but he quickly asks the system if the item is from the Qing and Ming dynasties, confirming it is from the Qing dynasty. Bayu says the guy is wrong for saying the box belongs to the Ming dynasty. Upon hearing this, he suggests a competition to determine who is wrong. Whoever loses will pay the value of the correct dynasty of the item as a reward. Old Wang looks at the protagonist, questioning if the item is really from the Qing dynasty. He confirms it is, making the fat man confident, suggesting that if the Trembolone loses, the Wu family's name will be tainted. Wang also warns that if this happens, they should leave the two in peace. The guy just agrees, but suddenly he begins to handle the box with ease. Everyone around is surprised, including Bayu. For a moment, he thinks that all this was staged, But the man explains that there are two boxes. The outer one was made in the Qing dynasty and the inner one in the Ming dynasty, announcing that the market price of the item is 300,000. The seller obviously finds himself in a good situation upon discovering the real value of the item. Upon seeing this, the fat man is surprised and the crowd starts to boo him. But they begin to suspect his familiar appearance. Wang becomes desperate and asks our boy how he missed this. He ignores and thinks about the future problems of this situation, stating that the system is always right, but there were two boxes where one was from the Qing dynasty and the other from the Ming dynasty. The protagonist doesn't know what to do but admits his defeat and praises his keen eyes for the items. Old Wang reluctantly praises Tremblalung for being a great martial artist. However, he is not in the mood for small talk and demands that the bet be fulfilled, also requiring an apology to the Wu family. Our boy in his thoughts calls him proud but reflects that the man seems to be of good character. He also thinks that the Wu family has a strong presence in this antique circle. Suddenly, Beiyu considers that the nobleman they are looking for might be right in front of him. The crowd interrupts these thoughts and recognizes the fat Wang, calling him a scammer. He gets angry, but the protagonist questions if the Tremblalung is really the nobleman. The system reveals a rate of 50%, and our boy considers that he must be someone related to the guy. Beiyu smiles with these thoughts, and the fat man doesn't understand. Meanwhile, the man doesn't understand why the master of the Wu family is so interested in the protagonist. Suddenly, an old man related to Shi observes everything from an alley. The old man questions why Mr. Che put him to keep an eye on the protagonist. The protagonist says he already knows what to do. Then he turns, stating that Mr. Wu has a good vision and a good technique. However, the box is worth more than 300,000, leaving the man confused as he asks if it's worth that much. He says that if the Wu family has many inheritances and knowledge, then what other mysteries exist in this box? The man looks and says that the Wu family indeed has some boxes with these mechanisms passed down through many generations. However, this one has no mystery at all. The protagonist questions Mr. Wu about why he doesn't open it and see what's inside. He agrees and begins to open it, wondering what might be inside, thinking it could be a hidden treasure. He pulls the lever down, but it is empty, confirming that the box is identical to theirs, stating that there is no mystery there. The protagonist laughs suspiciously at this statement and takes the box from the man's hand, leaving him in shock. He starts fiddling with the box in various ways but is lost with that item. And now he is embarrassing himself in front of everyone, because he had bragged but is not able to show his talent. The protagonist begins to wonder what to do and decides to check the system. With that, he manages to open the lid. Everyone is astonished at that moment. Then he takes out a box with a star drawing on the bottom, but pulling it down does nothing. However, if he puts it up and turns it the other way, it opens, and inside it had a puzzle of a labyrinth, and when the entire labyrinth connects, the protagonist feels confident now. Not even a martial arts and relics master knew this. This box was encrypted with Western and Eastern secrets, and as he pulled, a green jade treasure emerged. Everyone is surprised that there was indeed something hidden there. Not even one of the Wu family masters found it, but this kid did. The protagonist had noticed that he just had asked the system in detail, and now he won't be embarrassed anymore. Handing over the box, saying that this time he was lucky, because he didn't do it with his skill. Mr. Wu thinks that the protagonist is a noble guy as expected, having really extraordinary skills, and today he admits defeat. Our protagonist thinks about who would have imagined that the guy he had to meet in this night market was Wu Hongtai. So that's why this guy was pestering him. He wanted to know his skills. With that, the expert who must be controlling him must be in this crowd. And as he remembers, but before he can finish his thought, the guy says that now that he lost this box and his price will be given to Mr. Bai. The fat man starts poking the guy, reminding him that he said the Wu family was incredible, but only embarrassed himself. Everyone in the crowd talks about it. But in the background, someone says that young people are really getting good, heading towards the protagonist, who thinks about how finally the one who had to appear finally appeared. The old man goes towards Bai, while the fat man slaps his own face thinking about what he said before, and now he's screwed. The protagonist, on the other hand, smiles seeing the old man. While Hongtai was already making salutations to the master, everyone says now it's time, because the one who arrived was the great Mr. Wu. And that's why Bai is in trouble. It's better if they just watch. The protagonist then says that Mr. Wu finally appeared. Then the old man asks if Bai knows him. The protagonist comments that in this circle, there's no one who doesn't know his reputation, mentioning what his friends said and that it was a joke, stating that Mr. Wu is so noble, believing he doesn't mind. The old man smiles and asks about what the fat man said. He reveals that he had spoken about Mr. Wu being such a noble man with so much kindness, and that everyone there likes him. The old man asks if he is Bai Wu. The protagonist confirms and questions why the question. Mr. Wu stares at them and says that since Bai Wu beat Hongtai, he has to be the next. Then the protagonist mentions that the young man wouldn't have all that skill. The old man says he has to understand that it's like the saying goes, when you beat the smaller ones, the bigger ones appear, and now he wants to have a bit of fun. The protagonist asks the system if old Wu is an honest man, discovering that the probability is 100%. Thinking that this guy is indeed unusual, it seems he'll have to enter this competition to befriend him. He tells the old man that to be respectful, he'll have to accept asking the elder to present his questions. The old man is pleased with the reaction and reveals that the name of the competition will be, but before speaking, he pulls out some money notes. Everyone is staring and the fat man asks if he's trying to pull a trick. The old man asks if the fat man thinks the Wu family, being a dignified family, would want to deceive others. The fat man says he was just curious to know what he plans to do with those 2 yuan notes. Mr. Wu reveals that the competition will be simple. He and Bai have 1 hour to walk around the market, and whoever buys the most valuable item with these 100 yuan wins. The protagonist feels a bit awkward about this. Well, if that's how it is, let's go. Everyone all ready. Damn, this will be a battle between 2 gods. But trying to buy something valuable with 100 yuan is really tough. Who do you think will win? He replies, obviously it's going to be old man. He has much more experience. But the other retorts, this Bai isn't simple. This kid has talent. Walking around, the fat man says, hey bro, what about that big sword there? It looks good. It has a Yanhui dragon marking. It must have been Master Guan's. That painting must belong to Tangbo Hu. It's so realistic. Is this porcelain? The protagonist is already pissed. Shut up, fatso. Statue replies, what's the matter? I'm just trying to help, you know. But Bai explains, those things you mentioned are all fake. Now keep quiet and don't forget that I can calculate. My lovely system. It's time for you to work. He pulled all the antiques from the market. An hour later, the two are face to face. The protagonist already pulls out. This here is a blue and white vase imitating the Yongzhen dynasty. Although it's not original, the craftsman who made it is very skilled. So this is worth quite a lot. The old man looks, this kid is incredible. Where did he find such a thing in this place? Even though it's a replica, it's something honest and of quality, so there's nothing wrong with that. Bai tells him to show what he brought. This here is an old set of ancient books published before the Republic. What value do you think this has? The fat man without hesitation. I know for that to be worth a lot, you need to have the complete collection. It seems we beat Bai. The old man looks. It seems you don't really know the world. The fat man is already confused and he pulls out. It's foolish to think this is worth little. To the eyes of those with true knowledge, this is something invaluable. How do you have the courage to compare my treasure with your replica? The fat man asks, old man, are you a liar or what? The protagonist is confused. Can he not accept defeat? The old man explains, kid, this old man here has been in this antique circle for many years. Are you going to question my authority? He looks around at everyone and they all agree, yeah, Mr. Wu won. Of course he won. The fat man complains, what a bunch of bastards. No one dares to go against old Wu. Baker says, I ran so many calculations, but I didn't imagine this would be the result. The old man says, however, this guy here is not irrational. If I just say my item is invaluable, I believe you won't be convinced. Let's just say today's game is a draw, and tomorrow you come to my house because I have an item you want. The protagonist, well then it's decided. I don't have the courage to disrespect and will obey. The old man smiles and turns around. Let's go Hante, he says, giving a nod. They think this old guy is really interesting, huh? He looks back and says, you don't need to worry about the guy who was following you, you know. I've already dealt with that. As I thought, old Chai really has a good eye for these kids. The fat man exclaims, damn, he already dealt with the guy who was following us. This old man is something else. The protagonist muses, I don't know how deep people are involved in this whole circle, and whether tomorrow I'll face problems or end up profiting. But I'm excited. When the old man leaves, the two of them wonder, so that Bao Q who came to talk to us was really a bad guy. They try to call him, but the guy immediately hangs up. Is there some problem? The protagonist wonders, was that Bao Q really a bad person? The system replies, 100%. Did Mr. Wu really take care of him? Why is he trying so hard to help me? Well, it's useless for me to try and guess. Tomorrow I'll go and find out what Mr. Wu Lao wants. He asked us to come to his house tomorrow. Are we going or not? The protagonist replies, he told me to go, not you. The fat man responds, what's up, buddy? We are brothers, man. Did you forget our deal? Now it's me and you. If he called you, I'm going too. The protagonist concedes, all right, but listen. He's a friend, not an enemy, okay? Probably, if he's asking me to go there, he wants me to solve something. The fat man reassures, relax. I'll dedicate my life to accompany you, bro. This gentleman here will go with you. The next day, the two are already in front of the gate. Is this what they call a mansion? Wang says, let me take some selfies here to make everyone crazy. The protagonist replies, this is the life I want to live. Look at the caption the fat man puts on his post. Such a good opportunity isn't easy to find. Wang here was invited to the Wu family. I'm sending this to all my friends to make them crazy. The protagonist asks, what are you showing off for? Why that? In the future, I will become like this too. Wang retorts, damn, it's true. Your ability is incredible, kid. In the future, we will be the bosses. When that time comes, you'll buy me everything I want. At that moment, a dog appears, and the protagonist looks. Wait, this dog looks familiar. Finally, the girl appears. Jesus, thank you. I was tired of seeing just old men. She arrives and says, oh, sorry, I let my dog escape. The protagonist, you again. She responds, hey, you look familiar. Haven't I seen you somewhere? The protagonist says, yeah, I'm Bayu, right? She responds, yes, that's it. Wait, what are you doing in front of my house? The protagonist, confused, asks, wait, your house? Wang then says, brother, didn't we come here to meet Mr. Wu? She replies, oh, so you came to meet my grandfather? Let me take you. Finally, something good in this house. But our protagonist is a bit hesitant. Wang asks, is this girl a bit crazy? Is she taking this so easily? The protagonist, I thought she was just a bit crazy, but she's kind of dumb too. She's wondering where her grandpa is. They keep walking and can't find the old man. Is this girl just trying to show us how big her house is? Why is she taking us everywhere? The protagonist, getting worried, wait, is she leading us into a trap? What's going on? The girl looks at the dog and sniffs. Where's grandpa? The protagonist, seeing her talk to the dog, thinks, Jesus, there's no cure for this. Until Hong Tai appears. Xiao Xiao, what are you doing here? She replies, oh, brother Hong Tai, these two are looking for my grandpa. I was leading them, but I forgot where he is. All cute, sweet, and dumb, just the way we like. Hong Tai speaks, Xiao Xiao, I've told you many times not to bring just anyone into the house, especially those whose origins are unknown. Wang then says, everyone in this house must be smoking something, man. But Bayu tells him to be calm. Hong Tai turns around and says, come with me. The master is waiting for you on the terrace. All this drama just to say he's taking the guys to meet the master. The protagonist thinks, I was overthinking. It seems she's just a pure and natural girl. On the terrace, the protagonist says, I gotta be honest, this setup is a bit small, isn't it? Hong Tai arrives and announces the protagonist. The old master says, here's all the information about that fraud group. If you want it, you will have to show your true ability. The protagonist is shocked, forgive me for asking, but what do I need to do? The old man replies, well, I've heard a lot about you from old C. But I don't believe someone so young has such a sharp eye for antiques, let alone the ability to calculate values. What you need to do, boy, is very simple. Take a look at the treasures in my study and tell me their value and origin. If everything is correct, I will admit you really have the ability and give you these files. The protagonist says, all right then, that's our deal. Hong Tai opens the door. This here is the old man's study. Inside this place are various relics I've been collecting for years and years. The protagonist responds, all right then, sir. I'll start now. He looks at a vase, already sweating a bit, then looks at another one, feeling worried and shocked. Wait a minute, how can this be? The fat man observes, damn, he's really taking it seriously. But his expression, what's the problem? The old man asks, so, can you already tell me the value and origin of my treasures? The protagonist responds, sir, hold on, I need to take another look. Wang approaches, hey brother, are you sure? Can't you tell? The protagonist admits, I'm having a problem here. The fat man suggests, it seems like your eyesight isn't great, huh? Let me handle this, alright? I know most of these things. It's time for the fat man to shine. The protagonist steps in front, hey fatso, don't interfere. It's not as simple as you think. The protagonist bites his nails. Wu asks him, why don't you just speak up? Didn't you say you could calculate? Where's the courage of the guy who destroyed a 1.3 billion jar? The fat man, seeing the situation, it seems Mr. Wu is no longer pleased. Maybe it's my time. Shibat praised the things he has. That will surely improve his mood. Damn, this Buddha here looks very good. Probably from the Wei Dynasty, northern part. Truly one of the best Buddhas I've seen. An invaluable treasure. The old man looks very good, fat man. Now I want to know, Mr. Bai, what do you think of this Buddha head? The protagonist sighs, this Buddha head is fake. It's something from at most 10 years ago. You can see how it was produced. At most it's worth, I don't know, about 30,000 yuan. Wang, confused, asks, what? This is fake. That's strange, Bai isn't saying anything. If he knows it's fake, why doesn't he say it directly? He tries to cover up, well, even tigers need to sleep, right? A man who has been collecting for so long like Mr. Wu sometimes has something wrong. He looks again, damn, this here certainly comes from the spring and autumn period. It's something that would be at the center of a great museum. I've learned some things from Mr. Bai. It's clear to me that this is very precious. The protagonist takes another look. This is a high-quality imitation. Many were produced about 20 years ago. It's almost perfect, so it's worth around 100,000. The fat man, hold on. This here is fake too? The protagonist looks, the old man glaring. The fat man, damn, look at Mr. Wu's face. He's not liking this at all. I have to fix it. Let's forget all this. I heard your best collections are of porcelain, calligraphy, and painting, right? Why don't we take a look? This here is a running script of Mr. Mifu. Calligraphy and painting are always genuine, right? Bai. Tell him. The protagonist responds, fake. All of this is fake. Wang is shocked. What? It's fake. How can this stuff be fake? He tries to cover his mouth. The old man is getting angry, and Wang tries to understand. Bai, it's not that I don't believe in your ability, but you're telling me all this is fake. How is that possible? Are you sure, man? Look at the old man, you're just making him angrier. He's old, but you know if he wants to, he can beat us both up. The protagonist takes another look. The calligraphy, the paintings, they're all fake. Something made in the last year. You can see very well by the technique and the ink. But even so, they are of high quality, so it's a product worth millions. He starts walking around high-quality imitation of the Ming Dynasty, high-quality imitation of the Qing Dynasty, fake Shan Jade, high-quality imitation calligraphy of the Zhongdang Yan Dynasty. The old man slams his hand on the table, startling the fat man. The protagonist informs there are 37 antiques in this house, and they are all fake. The fat man stammers, wait, that's impossible. Mr. Wu steps out from behind the table. What do you mean to say? That I and Wu Fan, the 17th patriarch of the Wu family, have a house full of fake items. The fat man tries to interject. No, Mr. Wu, Bai doesn't mean that. He pushes the fat man aside. Hey, kid, let me ask you again. What did you say? The protagonist, swallowing hard, says, I said everything in this place is fake. The two stare at each other, the fat man nearly losing his soul. But do you think our protagonist is afraid? He's standing firm. Wang interjects, damn Mr. Wu. Calm down, man. He's saying something wrong. My brother didn't sleep well last night. He's putting on this whole show, but I think he's joking. Don't worry, you're crazy, man. How could everything in Mr. Wu's house be fake? The protagonist thinks, what should I say? This house really only has fakes. And the worst part is the system told me there's a 7.7% chance I'll die today. But the system also warned me there's a way to pass this evaluation and become friends with this noble. But how will I do that? The fat man pleads, go on by. Change your words. Apologize to this guy, or else we won't get out of this place alive. The protagonist is facing the old man who says, Bai, I'll give you another chance. Are the antiques in my house real or not? The protagonist doesn't back down. Sorry, Mr. Wu, but all these antiques here are fake. The crazy guys are staring at each other, the fat man crying, it's over, we're dead. The old man says, kid, you'll have to take responsibility for what you said. The fat man pleads, calm down, Mr. Wu, don't do anything. Stay calm. He grabs him and throws him to the side. The old man glares at the protagonist, who is already there, apologizing, Mr. Wu, it was me who said those things, not Fat Wang, please let him go. The old man says, well then, this old man already knew. He lands a blow to the protagonist's stomach and Bayu agonizes, a martial artist. Damn, today I'm going to die because of this damn system. The old man doesn't want to let us leave, but the system said there was a 100% chance he's a noble person. Why is he treating me like this? But this house is also full of fake stuff. The fat man calls for Bai. The protagonist is trying to resist. Hey, you old bastard. You're not just going to beat him. Come settle things with me and leave my brother alone. The fat man defending the protagonist, that's friendship. But the protagonist is already seeing things blurry. This old man, what does he want? The old man says again, kid, I'm going to ask you one last time. Will you change your words? The protagonist, sweating, says, no way. What's real is real. What's fake is fake. I won't change my opinion. The old man looks again, and then he starts to laugh maniacally. This house is missing a guardian. The protagonist thinks, it's over. There's no one normal in this place. Just then, Chai enters. Old man, you really went too far, didn't you? He applies a pressure point. The protagonist's breathing returns. See, asks, Mr. Bai, are you alright? Wu Fan had hit your pressure point, but now I've released your breathing. Wu Fan says, you are a good boy. I approve of you, you know? It wasn't intentional for you to be so upset. You're the one with a weak body. The old man says, serious. The fat man cries, brother Bai, are you okay, man? Don't worry, I'm fine. The fat man falls to the ground, sobbing, you guys scared me. I thought I was going to die. The old man approaches, get up. It's okay. He gives him an acupressure strike on the stomach. I don't know how, but it pierced through the fat. The protagonist says, Mr. Xi, you and Mr. Wu. He replies, yes, we are old acquaintances. I asked him to take care of you before I returned. However, he doesn't trust my judgment and wanted to test you. The old man responds, that's why I was there at the night market. So what did you think of my performance, huh? Good or not? Were you scared? The fat man says, you really act well. I almost died. Everyone laughs, and the old man says, relax, Wang man. You were sweet in your words. I'll send you a reward later. 10 million for you and 50 million for Bai. The fat man frowns, hey, why 50 million for him and 10 million for me? That's not fair. The old man chuckles, come here, I'll teach you that the virtue of life isn't just money. He starts to run, all in jest. Mr. Chi says, you're curious, aren't you, about why this house is full of fake antiques? The protagonist says, well, I found it strange. I was even confused when I entered this place. The old man scratches his beard. To learn about the truth is not only about learning what is right, but also about identifying what is false. Additionally, you need strong virtues and beliefs to avoid falling into the temptation of demons and desires. All the antiques in this place have such excellent craftsmanship that they could deceive and confuse many. I keep them in this room so I can come here and study them from time to time. But importantly, many of them are from the same place, the Hall of Shengang. That's the gang of fake items you're looking for. The protagonist responds, indeed, it's hard to recognize their methods. Their forgeries are very good. The old man continues, that's true. This old man here is gathering all their antiques and studying everything through the pavilion of Wuzhen. The protagonist thinks, so the origin of the fake products was from old Wu's house. What makes me more suspicious is that I used the system to calculate everything in this house and found a room full of fake items. Could the Wu family be involved with the fraud group? 7.7%. Wait, such a low probability means it's probably not Brother Wu but someone related to the house. But when I kept asking the system, the questions stopped getting answers. I need to understand this soon. The protagonist turns to the old man. Mr. Wu has a lot of knowledge. Young Bai, you learned a lot today. The old man replies, no need to praise me, kid. You are skilled and I like that. Besides, old C gave a suggestion that I approve. The protagonist asks, suggestion? The old man continues, Bai Yu, we formally represent the Antiquities Association and would like to invite you to become a member. Old C adds, kid, you showed strength and character. You are qualified to join us. The protagonist exclaims, damn, becoming a member of the Antiquities Association? This is great. Wait, does this mean I will finally become a respected person in this place? Man, this is awesome. The fat man interjects, hold on, brother. This is just the beginning, okay? The association has thousands of members. I'm not only talented, but also a member, all right? The protagonist, still in disbelief, asks, but isn't it too much to become a member of such an organization? Old Sai responds, the talent and characteristics of Mr. Bai are much more impressive. We are talking about you becoming one of the principal members. With that, we can deal with those scoundrels who are just making fake items. The two stare in shock. Wait, a principal member? The fat man exclaims, no, you two must be joking, right? Bai Yu? The protagonist, is there something special about becoming a member like this? Wine responds, yes, it's a big deal. The administration center of the Antiquities Association consists of only 17 elders. Even though there's a president and vice president, most decisions are made with their votes. All the members here are very important in the world of antiquities. The protagonist looks at Wine. You know everything, don't you? The fat man runs to old Wu. If Bai Yu, who is my friend, is going to become a principal member, I can't be an ordinary member, right? How about you upgrade my position too? All right then, you'll be promoted to someone who helps in meetings. The fat man grumbles. Damn it. Old C says, Bai Yu, you have the talent and integrity, so you're qualified. However, the final decision is still Mr. Wu's. That's right, Bai Yu. This old man here makes the final decision. But then old Wu pulls C aside. Relax, it's better if we both decide this together. Wang, supportive as ever, wants to know. For a member to enter, someone has to leave. Who is the protagonist going to replace? Mr. Wu informs them one of the guys working with the forgery group has already been expelled, so there's an open spot. Old Wu adds, I went easy on him. Just expelling him was too lenient. We should have given him a lesson. The protagonist questions, what's the origin of the forgery group? Are they that powerful? The old men look at each other. All right, it's time to tell you. Let's have a chat over tea on the rooftop. The Hanzhou Antiquities Association has been operating for over 100 years, and everyone has been fighting against forgeries. For a time, they were suppressed and disappeared. But Wu takes a gulp. Good things don't last forever. Suddenly, a mysterious man appeared on the scene. He gathered a lot of junk and started his own business, making and selling fake items. Over time, his situation worsened. The fat man asks, so there's someone doing this. Why don't you catch him? The protagonist realizes this group has been active for a long time. Wu continues, unfortunately, his forgery skills are getting more and more efficient. Some of the products on the market now are even difficult for the elders to recognize. The protagonist recalls the scene with the vase, thinking about how he and the old man almost spent 1.3 billion on a forgery. Wu says, the biggest problem is that some principal elders of the Antiquities group have been bought off, like the guy who was expelled. And I suspect he's not the only one. Wu adds, damn it, we need to find all of them. If I catch this guy, he won't leave alive. The fat man intervenes, calm down, Mr. Wu, you can't just kill people. The protagonist assesses the situation. It seems Mr. Wu hates these forgers. If I could solve this problem for him. The protagonist asks, why isn't the system responding to anything? Let me ask again. Is the person related to the Wu family also related to the forgery group? Is it a man? Is he between 20 to 30 years old? The system doesn't respond at all. Damn, is this thing broken? The system responds, the content of your question is not clear, so we cannot answer. The protagonist thinks, I'll have to find this traitor myself. The old men try to convince the protagonist, warning, if you become a central member of the group, you'll be in danger. The protagonist contemplates, this group already wants to kill me, but they're giving me various things to resolve which are helping me. Even if it brings me trouble, I can't turn my back because it's the right thing to do. Besides, I have the system, even if it's been unreliable lately. If the elders don't bother me too much, the protagonist stands up. Thank you for the trust, gentlemen. I'd Bai Yu, am eager to meet everyone and am willing to join. The old men remark, it looks like you're a brave kid. It's all good. We'll support you, don't worry. Ha, good kid. I knew you were brave. We'll help you, don't worry. Old Tig adds, there's still one test you have to pass before joining the association. We can only help you a bit, but it depends on you to pass it. The fat man, damn, more tests. You guys never get tired, do you? We just finished one. But the protagonist, confident in his system, don't worry, I'll crush it. Meanwhile, over at the forgery group. What? Wait, the old man was removed from the group. Those guys are definitely going to put someone else in his place. I won't let that bunch of old men do whatever they want. Luckily, I can use my old method when necessary. In the next chapter, the old man is all happy, and the elder says, listen, today was very good. We're going to have a dinner. Hong Tai, go and inform everyone in the group that tonight we're having a dinner for everyone and they should show up. The fat man is already salivating. Dinner? Can't miss that, right? That's why you look like a balloon, the protagonist thinks. Perfect. This is the best opportunity to find out who the traitor in the Wu family is. The old man pulls out his phone. Xiao sent a message saying she has to take care of some work and we shouldn't wait for her. We can start eating without her. Old Wu says, relax, it's still early. We won't eat yet. Speaking of which, by you, aren't you the guy who can do calculations? What's up? Do the calculations and tell us the probabilities. How long will it take for Xiao to get here? The fat man encourages, come on, brother, do the calculations and impress them. The protagonist thinks, I didn't want her to come if I paid that crazy woman. Not to mention my sister has been acting up lately. So I can do the calculations, but they're not always accurate. System, tell me now. What's the probability of Xiao arriving here before 6 p.m.? 0% probability. What? Wait, what's the probability she arrives at 7? 0%, 10, 0%, still nothing. Wait, is something going to happen? Is her life in danger? Probability of her life being in danger? 76%. What? How is that possible? The protagonist's face changes. Mr. Qi, Mr. Wu, I just calculated that Xiao will face a problem today. It's a life or death situation. The old men are in shock. Wait, we have to go and save her then. The protagonist says, wait a minute, I'll try calling her first. They all try calling. The number you have dialed is turned off. Damn, says the old man. She only turns off her phone when she's usually in trouble. System, where's Xiao? Show me the map. Loading. Damn it, system, stop just showing loading. The old man says, it's better if we send someone to find her. The old man tries calling again, and the protagonist is still waiting for the system, which isn't working. The old man says, it seems Xiao got involved with an amateur thief. That shouldn't be a problem for her, right? Poor thing, the protagonist says, sweating and almost fainting. Wait here. I'll go see what's happening, the old man says. The protagonist stands up. Relax. I'll go too. You two stay here and wait for news. Incredibly, the old man just agrees. All right then, be careful. I'll give you the map to Maihei's apartment. It's not far from here, says the old man. Also, I'll tell Hong Tai to keep you safe. All right then, we're leaving now. Wan was left behind. Hong Tai says, I'll drive. The protagonist doesn't say anything, just finds the situation peculiar. This guy is very strange, but at least he must be skilled, right? Having this crazy guy with me should make things safer. System, is the road safe? Loading again. Damn it, what's happening with this thing? Never mind, now's not the time to think about that. The most important thing is to save Xiao. In an apartment, Xiao was getting ready. All right, I'm here now. And on your side, we surround the windows in all directions. There's no way he can escape. Good, and how are things around? Nothing wrong, so it seems safe. I'll remind you again our target has a weapon, so everyone needs to be careful. Understood, ma'am. All right, action, she says. Inside the apartment, the forger is there. Brother, don't worry, nothing's wrong. Wait, the buyer will call soon. The guy on the other side, stay alert. You know things are going wrong. He hangs up, not caring. He lights a cigarette, watching something exciting on TV, but someone is already banging on the door. Hello, is anyone home? We've come to check the gas pipes. The guy, startled, stands up with his hand on his back. He takes a quick look outside. There's a juicy babe on the other side of the door, and his face tightens as he opens it with a pistol in hand. I'm opening it, you don't need to keep knocking. The guy on the other side signals to his partner. The man opens the door, but the protagonist is speeding down the road. System, what's the probability of Xiao being in a life or death situation? In the next scene, she's entering the house. Excuse me, we're just here to check the gas. The guy inside is already on edge, but geez, he's ugly as hell. You guys are well prepared, huh? Just as he says that, Xiao swiftly dodges and delivers a powerful kick to his jaw, sending him crashing to the floor. Meanwhile, the protagonist in the car is maneuvering quickly. Turn right in 700 meters, turn left, turn right. The protagonist asks the system multiple questions. The gangster has a weapon, 100%. Probability of Xiao dying, 89%. What's the probability I'll get there in time? 71%. The situation is dangerous and now the system is lagging. The protagonist enters a neighborhood thinking, I'll save the girl no matter what. Back at the apartment, Xiao is running. The thug almost grabs her, but she dives behind a piece of furniture. Die, loser. The thug jumps out the window thinking he's Spider-Man, but Xiao follows. Damn, this girl is something else. She knew he was armed and still chased him. She's a true warrior. The thug fires his weapon, but it seems like Xiao has a bulletproof aura or something. She charges at him, disarming him with a door slam, leaving him immobilized. Hong Tai, cold and calculated, confiscates the weapon and cuffs the thug. That was easy. Xiao, relieved, says, phew, that was close. Brother Tai, why are you here all of a sudden? When she sees the protagonist, she frowns. You scared me. I was almost shot to death. Hong Tai says, Ms. She is still very careless. You were saved thanks to Mr. Bai's calculations. If it weren't for him, the consequences would have been disastrous. She grabs the protagonist. Do you know how dangerous that was? This guy was armed. It's not something an ordinary citizen should try to handle. Just then, she receives a message. I have to go up. There's something I need to resolve. She thanks Brother Tai and looks at the protagonist before leaving. What's the probability? The protagonist asks the system. But the protagonist isn't just representing, he thinks, at least I saved her life. Maybe now she won't bother me. He lights a small cigarette, blowing smoke like a teenager with a vape. Hong Tai asks, should we wait for her or leave? The protagonist wonders, is she really safe? What's the probability of Xiao Xiao dying now? 90.4%. What? The crisis isn't resolved. The cigarette falls from his hand in shock. How is that possible? He starts running. The probability is increasing, 65%, 61%, 83%. Oh my god, this is getting worse. Why is the probability still rising? Didn't we already take down the gangster? There are a lot of people with her up there. It can't be that something bad will happen, right? Wait, could one of the people with her be an accomplice of that thug? He opens the door. Xiao Xiao. Everyone inside looks up, startled. What are you doing here? Get out. The protagonist, relieved, says, I was so scared thinking something had happened. Wait, so what exactly is her crisis? He notices some antique vases. So this is the kind of criminal we're dealing with. The guy beside her, judging by our analysis, must have an accomplice. She says, it would have been good if I had brought my weapon. This is getting very dangerous. You go down and monitor anyone suspicious. Got it. The protagonist, seeing this, notices the probability of danger for Xiao Xiao rising to 91.07%. She receives a message saying the residents are curious if the operation has ended. The protagonist thinks, residents and suspects. Could the guy who was here have taken a hostage? Is the danger Xiao Xiao is in related to hostages? The system responds 97.3%. The protagonist starts sweating. Xiao Xiao, I have something important to tell you. The probability rises to 91.84%. She slaps him. Hold on. If you have something to say it quickly. Otherwise, you have to leave. It's dangerous. She pushes him. You two there continue analyzing the situation. The protagonist insists, no, you don't understand. I have to explain. She stops. Get out now. You're obstructing the work of an officer. The protagonist yells, you want me to leave. If I leave, you'll die. Thinking, damn it, I can't leave and let her die. I know I'm being a pain, but don't you think your team is rushing too much? The place is huge and you have too few people. The longer you delay, the greater the chance of things getting out of control. She hesitates. So, what are we going to do? The protagonist pleads, you might not believe it, but I can really predict things. How about making a decision after hearing my analysis? Please believe me while he thinks if she kicks me out, I'll have to wait for her to die. All right, what do we need to do now? The protagonist is surprised. She believes me. She says, you seem so excited about this. I decided to listen to your opinion. The protagonist thinks, what's going on with her? She's different today. She'll actually listen to me. That's rare. He starts his analysis. These guys wouldn't be standing here for no reason. It looks like they finished eating. Hold on, this box is empty. Maybe the guy went to buy cigarettes. The nearest place is this small market in the southern community. She agrees. All right, you come with me. They rush down the stairs. She informs her team. He's at a small market in the southern part of the community. Go there and arrest him. The protagonist, checking the system. He went to buy cigarettes, 100%. 80% chance he turned the shots. Now he's fleeing. He says the problem is the southern community is a small place with a lot of people. It won't be easy to find him. What's the chance he's in the crowd? 44%. Damn, this probability doesn't help at all. However, the team informs her they found the target and he's moving east. She gets in the car. I'll be there in a minute. Keep an eye on him. She tells the protagonist if he was at the southern market and is now heading east, he has to pass through that street. He will definitely want to go to the commercial area. Got it. Meanwhile, a suspicious guy is walking in the area. The car speeds up. The guy tries to flee. Damn, the guys are already surrounding him. Catch him already. She tells her team to run, and the protagonist, who just got out of the car, is already tired. Hong Tai reassures him, don't worry about me. Go and keep her safe. He leaves, and the protagonist checks the system. She has to be safe. What's the chance of Xiao Xiao encountering a problem? 0%. Phew, the protagonist lights another cigarette. I won't last 100 chapters if I keep smoking like this. Anyway, it's good she doesn't need to thank me for my magical calculations. He gets hit in the head with a small rock. A mischievous kid climbs the wall, sticking his tongue out and running away. The protagonist yells, damn kid, you're lucky I can't catch you. Wait, what's Xiao Xiao's risk now? 95%. What's the chance of this kid being taken hostage? 90%. The protagonist starts running. The kid looks back. You really want to chase me, man? Give up, loser. But when he looks ahead, it's like John Wick from the back alley, Xiao Xiao and Hong Tai turning the corner. The thug already has his hands on the child. There's no time. The mentally ill child, smiling, was taken hostage. But look who arrived in a panic. He threw himself on the ground, hit his back, and headbutted, resulting in a bunch of red windows. System error, system error. The protagonist wakes up. He's already in the car, saved. Xiao says, "Finally you woke up, huh?" Bai asks, "What about that kid? Is he okay? Did you manage to resolve it?" She explains that everything's fine. The child is safe, and the suspect was arrested. She then asks if you pulled the Glock on him and even meet him in the face. "But are you okay? Your head didn't get too hurt. Do you want me to take you to the hospital? We thought you might have had a concussion when you fell." The protagonist responds, "It's true. I remember hitting my head, but I didn't feel anything. Anyway, hey system. The crisis with Xiao is completely resolved." Right. She wants to talk to him, but there's a red system alert beside him. The protagonist doesn't respond. "Are you having a problem or something? Let's go to the hospital." "Relax, I'll drive." The protagonist says, "No, it's okay. I don't need to go to the hospital." He holds her hand, feeling relieved. The protagonist doesn't ask, feeling awkward. "Sorry, it was unintentional, but you don't need to worry about me." He thinks, "I finished everything I had to do here." Considering her temperament, it's best if I leave before she punches me in the face. She turns around. "What are you talking about? You think I'm worried about you? I'm a police officer. I worry about citizens. Besides, aren't you the guy who can predict everything? How could anything happen to you?" The protagonist thinks, at least she doesn't believe I'm a bad person now. She continues, "It was thanks to you that we didn't have many problems in this incident." She ponders how crazy he threw himself to save that child without worrying and still hit his head. "Anyway, thank you very much for your courage. I was wrong to blame you and say you were a bad person." The protagonist, impressed, responds, "Relax, it's all in the past. I was just lucky to be able to do good things. Nothing special." She nods, "Okay then. Brother Tai told me you calculated my life was in danger and came to save me. If you hadn't arrived in time, I would have died from that criminal's gunshots. As expected of you, Mr. Bai." The protagonist admits, "That's true. If I had arrived a second later, you would have been shot." She smiles, "It was also thanks to you that another suspect was arrested." But he says, "Nothing special. I just did what was right." Thinking about it, she says, "That time you sold that Tang Seng Kai to my grandfather, did you know it was genuine?" The protagonist replies, "It was nothing special." She punches him. "So you knew I had accidentally sold it and you sold it back to my family." The protagonist, scared, tries to get out of this saying, "I can explain." But she responds, "What will you explain? Forget it. In the end, it was my fault." The protagonist thinks, "I understand. You just didn't want your father to be deceived, right?" She snaps, "You don't understand anything, okay?" The protagonist thinks, "This girl is still so arrogant." She leans in, "Hey, calm down. Speaking of which, your ability to calculate and predict things, it's best if you hide it. I have no idea how you do it, but it's very accurate. So you'll end up attracting trouble. Not to mention you have absolutely no self-defense skills." She gives him a firm squeeze. "I'm serious. If those bad guys find out you have this ability, they'll probably try to do something." The protagonist, feeling crushed, thinks, "Why did she squeeze so hard? But I know. Of course it's better if almost no one knows." He asks, "Speaking of which, those two you arrested today, they were selling fake antiques, weren't they?" She responds, "Why are you asking me? Don't you have the ability to see everything?" He explains, "It's not that easy to know everything, okay?" She then tells him, "I just know they have a lot of criminal records and I was sent here to arrest them. Even if I knew, I can't tell you. It's confidential information." The protagonist thinks, considering how strict she is, she won't reveal any confidential information. But I'm sure that forgery group is still involved with those old men. Speaking of which, "Hey, your grandfather must be waiting for news about you." She tells him to not worry, "I've already informed them. They're just waiting for you to return to start the dinner." The protagonist checks the time. "What time is it? Will we make it on time?" She insists, "Nothing of that sort. You're the star of the show. You have to go. System, calculate the probability and tell us." She drives off quickly, and the protagonist suffers through the fast ride. At the family dinner, some kids are chatting. Xiao, it's late. Shouldn't we be eating by now? Who are we waiting for?" She explains, "My sister called and said there was an accident, so she's on her way." "Uncle, you need to be a bit more patient. They says that since she married that unlucky guy, she's always in trouble." Another person intervenes, "Stop saying that, man." At that moment, the group arrives, and the old man announces, "Today we have honored guests, Mr. Luoxi and Miss Xiao. Everyone here should know them. And I also need to introduce these two to you, Mr. Bai Yu and Mr. Xiao Wan. I just became friends with Mr. Bai Yu, a young man with a lot of spirit. Let's all get to know each other. Now you can sit down. Bai Yu, you sit here." The protagonist sits down, feeling like the king of the old men. A man with glasses comments, "So young and already receiving recognition from the old man. This kid must have a great background." But the blonde guy says, "Hey, look at these two. They must be scammers. I don't know how they managed to fool the old man, but I'll expose and punish them." The girl with a pink ribbon replies, "You're wrong. I already know Bai Yu. It's a guy with principles." The guy asks, "You know him? How did you meet him? Is he your sugar daddy?" "What the hell? That came out of nowhere." She denies, "I'm not like the people you know. Apparently, you just talk crap." Her sister appears behind her, "Who's trying to bully my sister here?" The guys are shocked. Wait, they're sisters. The blonde guy turns awkwardly. Xiao, you're here. Angry, she tells him, I already told you before. Don't call me Xiao. For you, it's Sister Xi. Xiao says, sister, you can sit here. The guys then say I was just joking with her. No one wants to bully her. The man with glasses speaks up. We were just wondering about the abilities of these two guests. Can you tell us? Because they don't seem to be from any prestigious family or anything. Did the old man pick them up from the street? That must be the case. A beggar and that fat Wan. They look like gangsters. Xiao thinks these on this table only have prestigious families. Without their reputation, they're just a bunch of trash. She sets her glass on the table. Bai Yu is an honored guest. His analytical ability has already been recognized by my grandfather. I'll warn you, don't cause any trouble with him. She pulls her sister aside. Hey, let's talk over there. The sister happily sticks her tongue out at the guys, Stia losers, leaving all of them angry. The old man says, Bai Yu, have another drink. Then a group of side characters arrives. We came to pay our respects. The old man says, it's good you came to meet Mr. Bai and learn from him. Uncle, let's enjoy these drinks. The protagonist, feeling relaxed, thinks the guys are trying to act cool. A man with glasses approaches. Mr. Bai, don't be offended. We just came here to learn from you. The blonde guy adds, if you're an honored guest of the old man, you must know a lot about history, right? We just wanted to see your abilities. Yeah, help us out with something. The protagonist sighs. These guys are trying to make a fool of me, huh? Sure, we can learn from each other. One of the guys comes up. Sir, we bought some things and we'd like Mr. Bai to analyze them for us. Is that possible? Wang responds, hey, you guys want to analyze some stuff. Let me help you out, bro. The protagonist interjects, don't do anything. You'll embarrass me. Calm down, Wang. Keep eating. I'm also curious to see what they bought. The old men are just staring. All right, go ahead, Bai Yu. Show them how it's done. They'll be able to learn. The guys are thinking, you cheater. Now you're going to face your punishment. Already at a table full of antiques, they're all there. The guy with glasses says, Mr. Bai, these are the new items. Please tell us their origin and teach us. Aren't you the guy recommended by the elder? It should be easy for you. The protagonist thinks, what a bunch of idiots. They won't be able to blame me for what I'm about to do to them now. The old man from afar is watching. These kids are trying to embarrass Bai Yu. Now they're going to regret it. The protagonist starts processing, but there's an error in the system. Processing, system error. What's going on? The pink-haired guy looked and said, hey, Mr. Bai, why aren't you saying anything? Our guy had the red alert on his face. System error. The old man looks, what's up? Why isn't Bai saying anything? These things are quite simple. Does he have a plan? The blonde guy adds, what's wrong, Mr. Bai? These are simple items. Have you drunk too much and can't see straight? The angry fat guy responds, how can you say that? You dare to offend my brother? He's the most incredible. He's never been wrong. The blonde guy challenges, well, if he's never been wrong, there's no way he can't guess these, right? Come on, tell us. Or are you trying to fool my whole family? The fat guy shouts, shut up, man. My brother is just exhausted. He's seen a lot today. He needs some time to recover. I'll warn you, if the elder finds out what you're doing. The elder arrives, a muscular old man. Bai Yu, what are you thinking? Did he hurt his inner power when he saved Xiao? Old man, what power are you talking about? I think even the elders are starting to believe our protagonist has a system. Is his divination affected? I'd wanted these kids to learn a lesson, but it seems Mr. Bai needs to recover. The old man is in shock and our protagonist thinks, what's happening with my system? It's never been like this. These guys are still bothering me. Should I come up with an excuse to leave first? He starts to walk away, but the blonde guy grabs him. What? You're not going to admit defeat? Then I'll give you. The elder intervenes, you bastards. How dare you speak to our honored guests like that? The guys are shocked. He turns to Bai Yu. Forgive them, Bai Yu. They still have a lot to learn. Our protagonist is in shock, while the old man thinks about how to punish the guys. Man, this system is only causing me problems lately. The elder approaches the protagonist. Damn, he's got a weird expression. Did he really damage his core? These cultivators? Or maybe he's genuinely angry with those kids. He grabs the guys by the arm. You need to stop being such idiots. Come here and apologize to Master Bai Yu. The guys are a bit hesitant. A plumber like him doesn't deserve our group's respect. Oh boy, steam's coming out of the old man's ears. Here comes the slap, but our guy intervenes. You don't have to get angry over this. It's just a prank by these kids. These two here are fake. This one was made during the Ming Dynasty. This one, even though it's fake, is well crafted, so it's good to keep it. Now these others. Oh well, they're not as good. This vase has excellent craftsmanship. It's a shame it was produced this year. The guys are shocked. Oh my god, he got everything right. Bai feels relieved. Phew, thank goodness, my friend. The system recovered in time. But what's with this system? It seems to have some bugs, or it's losing charge. What's happening? Fortunately, I passed this test without them noticing anything. If the situation were different, I'd be branded a fraud. The old man laughs, ha, as expected of Mr. Bai. Even I didn't know some of these. Only someone with such keen vision could distinguish them. The protagonist looks to the side, noticing one of the vases. 100% probability it's related to a forgery company. A good portion of these antiques are related to that company. Last time, the system also told me the company had some connection with the Wu family. Are there infiltrators? The guy with glasses, feeling embarrassed, says, as expected of Mr. Bai, we were very wrong. We apologize for disrespecting you. How about you join us for a drink to accept our sincere apologies? The pink-haired guy, now all friendly, chimes in, wow, you're incredible, Mr. Bai. As expected of someone supported by the great master. Could you maybe calculate when I'll make a fortune? The last envious guy still hasn't admitted it. He has some skills, it seems. With that, the guys keep pestering our protagonist. Thanks, guys. He calls the old men, saying it's getting late. Goodbye, everyone. The protagonist is in shock. The system is giving errors and I'm in this place. If they question me again, I might get in trouble. It's better if I leave quickly. I have no idea who the infiltrator is and I might be at risk. The old man is puzzled. Why is he leaving already? Is he angry about this? Bai Yu, stay a bit longer and drink with us. Don't mind these kids. The fat guy adds, yeah, stay with us, Bai Yu. But the protagonist remembers the conversation he had where she told him not to put himself in risky situations. And here he is, surrounded by a lot of people, and there could be a spy among them. He turns to the old man, look, it's getting late. We'll drink another day, okay? But the two guys seem startled. Wait, Bai Yu, they grab his arm. How long have you known Xiao Xiao? I can't believe fate brought you two together like this. The old man intervenes, trying to play matchmaker, huh? The protagonist realizes this is a 1000 IQ play. The fat guy notices too. Looks like you're lucky, huh, Bai Yu? The old man waves his hand, so I heard Mr. Bai Yu isn't married, right? What do you think of our girl, Xiao Xiao? Damn, he threw it out there like that. Old C is shocked. What did you say? That's a bit sudden, isn't it? But even worse, Old C is mad because he wants Bai Yu to marry his granddaughter. No, Bai Yu will marry my granddaughter. They've known each other longer, and he even saved her life. The old man retorts, so what if he saved her life? He and my granddaughter already have a deep relationship. This is turning into a competition. Old C insists, what are you talking about? Bai Yu and Xiao Xiao will make a much better couple. I believe they should get married soon. The two girls come running looking desperate. Honestly, they look similar, like the same person but with different hair colors. Don't they? When Xiao Xiao heard everything, she became sad. What are you talking about? I'm too young. I don't want to get married. She starts crying something so important and you didn't even ask for my opinion. You don't care about me, and she runs off crying. Our guy is more lost than we are. All this happening out of nowhere and I just want to leave. Why do these things keep happening to me? He looks back and sees the blonde guy fuming, staring at the old man. The guy with glasses says, hey, behave yourself, man, the elders are all here. The protagonist thinks, these guys seem to always show hostility towards me. Could they be despised from the family? The old men say, Bai Yu, we're sorry about the situation. We shouldn't have gotten involved in the young people's relationships. The protagonist, suddenly changing his mind, says, thank you for understanding. I really wasn't feeling well, but I think I'm a bit better now. Let's have a drink. What the heck, suddenly changing his mind? Doesn't he want a woman? But our boy thinks, it seems like these two masters are trying to comfort me. Maybe if I can find the family spy, I'll improve my position even more here. At the table with the guys, observing that they're all leaving, he thinks I need to test those guys first. They've been hostile to me all the time, even tried to embarrass me. What do they want? System error after system error. Man, I've never seen the protagonist with a more broken system. What's going on? Not even our guy is very confident. I think I can find the spy without the system's help. The guy with glasses says, what were you doing, man? You better not talk nonsense again. You don't want to be punished, right? And I don't want to get screwed just because of you. The protagonist behind startles them. They think they're so tough but get scared all the time. He's just observing someone. So how about a toast to this lively place? He thinks, I'll start with you. The blonde guy is just staring, but the guy with glasses says, Mr. Bai, you're extremely welcome here, man. We should be toasting to you for everything you've taught us. This guy changes his tune so quickly, acting all weird. The protagonist is on the hunt for information. It's okay. We've never met before. It's normal for you to be indifferent to me. Now that we know each other, maybe we can be friends. Man, this protagonist is improving. The kid is becoming independent. The blonde guy is staring at him and he says, it seems like you're not happy with the toast. But he thinks, this guy, he's staring at me like an idiot. You can see on his face what he's thinking. No way he's the intelligent spy here. Or is he acting to confuse me? Damn, he's playing 4D chess. No, that would be crazy. Of course not. Bai Yu, let me greet you. The blonde guy reaches out with his hand. I'm wondering how you and Xiao Xiao met. He squeezes the protagonist's hand hard. The protagonist says, Xiao Xiao. From afar, the girl calls, oh, you're calling me. The blonde guy is in love with her. He's staring at the protagonist. The protagonist realizes, wait, Xiao Xiao? He gives a malicious smile. It's a dramatic story. The protagonist, confused, replies, I met Xiao Xiao when she accidentally sold a family ceramic and I was lucky to buy it. Then I helped her catch a criminal who wanted to set a bus on fire. That's how we met. The blonde guy keeps pressing, so, you know her better than I do. She's very proud. Do you think she really has any feelings for me? To be honest, I don't like violent women, and I don't like women who are good at fighting either. The protagonist thinks this guy was being hostile to me because of her, and he stared at me because the old men were talking about marriage. The pink-haired guy chuckles, makes sense. The man likes a woman who's a bit calmer, doesn't he? The guy with glasses chimes in, you only say that because she punched you when you tried to flirt with her, right? Let's drop it. But hey, weren't you looking for that Allura Monte Conti from 1994? What is that? The protagonist is also wondering, what are these crazy people talking about? The guy with glasses continues, I heard you even bought a yacht last week, didn't you? And your sports car got delivered to your house. So what? I spent my money. Spending isn't illegal, and I'm planning to take my car to a racetrack. He turns to the protagonist, hey, Master Bag, do you like car racing? How about we have some fun next time? The protagonist thinks, these two seem like kids who just want to have fun, especially this playboy. They can't be the spies. Maybe I should pay attention to the elders. The guys are talking about investments, golf, and philanthropy. The protagonist continues thinking, maybe not. He looks around and sees the girls gossiping about custom necklaces, diamonds, and rare stones. The protagonist thinks everyone here is just talking about wealth and money. It seems to be the only thing that matters in this place. I'm not getting anything useful. None of these people seem to be spies. Suddenly, an old man interrupts, hey, Master Bag, what's going on? The protagonist starts to think, I know there's a forgery spy here, but my system is down. Should I remind Master Yu about it? Maybe he can handle it. He looks at the old man and says, sir, have you thought about what we discussed this morning? The forgers seem to know much more about us than we do about them. At that moment, a man enters and announces, sir, the young lady and her husband are arriving. The protagonist thinks, someone arriving this late. Sure enough, she arrives, apologizing for the traffic. The husband has a stern look. The protagonist wonders, this guy looks suspicious, not like a good person. 88% chance he's not a good guy. He's surprised the system just came back online out of nowhere. This guy the family spy? But the system doesn't respond. The sister arrives, you're very late. Babe notices it seems everyone likes her. One guy even pushes the other aside to stay quiet. The protagonist notes that the guy got isolated there. The system failed again. This is frustrating. The system doesn't seem stable at all. I'll have to rely on myself to find out more about this guy. Who are they, Elder Wu? Wu responds, she's my eldest granddaughter, Wu Huyu, and her husband, Su Zidi. Their names seem switched. Her name sounds masculine, and it sounds feminine. She apologizes to her grandfather for being late, asking him not to be angry. The protagonist asks the pink-haired guy, is that guy your brother-in-law? He doesn't seem to be enjoying himself here. Why isn't anyone talking to him? The blonde guy replies, that guy's a loser. No one cares about him. So what if he's angry? If he had married into the Wu family, he wouldn't even be able to feed himself. The protagonist thinks, so he's a match for local husband? It's when the husband moves in with the wife's family, leaving his own family and become part of hers. Not just her, but her entire family, including the grandfather and others. The blonde guy says, leave that guy alone, Master Bai. He's a failure. I don't know how he convinced Wu Yu to marry him. He might have a decent academic background, but he hasn't achieved anything in his life. The protagonist thinks someone so flawed like this might not be the spy involved with the forgeries, but that 88% from the system was strange. Maybe he's pretending to be a failure and is the real spy. The guy keeps staring at the protagonist, fiddling with his ring. The blonde guy reassures, relax, Master Bai. Don't worry about him. You are young and very promising, quite different from that guy. If you marry Xiao Xiao, I'm sure her grandfather will be very happy, and I'm sure you won't betray her like some loser. Our protagonist thinks, what? I never thought of anything like that. And what the elders mentioned was just a joke, don't take it seriously. The wife is staring at him. At this moment, she seems the most suspicious of all. I need more information. Then she puts her hand on his shoulder. Why are you standing so close? She stares at him and then turns back. You are Bai Yu, right? The special guest my grandfather mentioned? As he said you were an expert, I imagined someone a bit older. But you are young, handsome, and very talented. Imagine this situation, your wife goes up to another guy, looks him over, and calls him handsome and talented. Jesus, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Our protagonist, seeing this, thinks Hu Yu was going to be hard to deal with. She doesn't seem innocent like Xiao Xiao. Excuse me, Miss Yu, you're too kind. You yourself are wonderful. The coupled husband gets furious. He comes trotting over and grabs her hand, but she slaps him. She doesn't say anything, just slaps him and goes back to talking to the protagonist. So Mr. Bai Yu, what do you do for a living? He sees the look on the other guy's face. I don't have a job. I just deal with antiques. Unlike me, a woman like you must be elite in your field, right, Miss Yu? He thinks this guy seems very stressed. Does he think I'm flirting with his wife? I would never think of such a thing. But they don't seem like a good couple. The old master says, Master Bai Yu, you're much better than her. Someone who can make predictions is impressive. Don't praise her too much, she's already very proud. The couple husband thinks, predictions, I doubt it. How did the family master get fooled by this guy? Our protagonist realizes it seems they don't get along well. Maybe the wife doesn't know what he's doing. Wait, I need to test this guy directly. Mr. Su, are you involved in the antique circle? He replies, "Not really, but let's say I have certain interests in these businesses." The protagonist thinks nothing suspicious in his response, right? "I heard you're always busy and that you work in the financial industry. Are you a CEO of a corporation or something?" He responds awkwardly, "No, nothing like that, young man. I'm just an ordinary employee." The protagonist pushes, "I thought a man married to Miss Wu would be someone involved in the circle or at least a company director." "Right. He doesn't seem to care much. I'm just an ordinary guy." Unlike Mr. Baiyu, who has so much recognition at a young age. Our boy replies, "I appreciate Mr. Wu valuing me so much. But if I may ask, if your business is independent of the antiques business, are you making enough to support Miss Wu?" "Wow, did you need to go that far, protagonist?" "Oh, I remembered. I heard you're a metro local husband." "Right. Sorry for the question." He's really digging, implying that it's the wife's family supporting him, calling him a loser. He's spinning his ring, seems like it means something, but what's going on? The protagonist thinks, this guy seems to have rehearsed responses. Why isn't he getting irritated by what I said? It seems I'll need the system to solve this. He turns, well, the important thing is the effort, right? Money isn't everything. Cheers, Mr. Su. This guy seems to be hiding something, which means something is wrong. It's possible he's even fooling the two elders. For now, it's best not to scare him. I'll try to focus on him when the system comes back. At that point, it'll be easy to expose him. But there's something I can do before the system returns. "Hey Wang, you've been so quiet. What's on your mind? Had too much to drink. You have a lot of connections, right? I want you to gather information about that guy over there." He looks at the guy still fidgeting with his ring. "Look at him. What's he up to?" The next chapter starts with everyone leaving the gathering. An old man approaches the protagonist. "Mr. Bai, it's so late. You look exhausted. Why not stay the night?" Bai responds, "Thank you very much, sir, but I've already intruded enough, and my driver has arrived." The protagonist, still with a buggy system, thinks, "I'll keep an eye on that brother-in-law. Next time I'll resolve this. But my priority now is to figure out what's happening with my dear system." Our protagonist gets home, takes a bath, drinks some water. "I've asked the system so many questions, but it hasn't answered anything. Maybe it's partly my fault. Lately, I've only been thinking about money. What exactly is this system? It appeared out of nowhere and now it's not working. How do I fix this? It seems like a computer. Can't be restarted. But the system just keeps failing to respond. How frustrating. Show me a manual, will you?" He collapses on his bed. "Supernatural system, you don't seem so great after all." The system prompts a notification. Energy low. He sits up. The system used a lot of energy to ensure safety when the user was in danger. Danger? When? The system shows a replay of him hitting his head on the ground when saving the kid. "Wow, I almost died there. That was dangerous." So the system doesn't just know probabilities, it saves my life. How is that possible? So saving my life consumed a lot of energy. You weren't bugging. You just lost power. The system needs to be updated regularly. Apologies for the inconvenience. It sounds like a call center. So right now, the system neither responds nor protects me. The prompt says no. Damn. If anything happens, I could end up dead. Not to mention I'm getting involved in even bigger problems because of those forgers. But the system has helped me a lot. I've made many connections and had many opportunities. Has my journey to the peak of my life come to an end? Am I going back to where I was? No way. I need to fix this. He taps the system. "If you're low on energy, what do I do to fix it?" He stares at it. It's energy. But what kind of energy? He doesn't know. The system is searching for ways to find energy. This system seems to have some futuristic technology. I was lucky to receive it, but I need to understand how it works. And then system low on energy. Plans to recover system energy. Plan A. The system can update itself. The time needed cannot be estimated. Bugs such as shutting down or not functioning may occur. Plan B. The system can draw energy from external sources. The user will need to bring energy to the system. Plan C. The system can draw energy from the host. This is the fastest way and will take only 3 seconds. Wait, 3 seconds. He moves to click but hesitates. Wait, this could draw energy directly from me. Is that safe? But on second thought, how does this system draw energy from a human? What kind of energy is this? But the system is too low on energy to respond. "Hey system, what happens if I give you my energy? Will I die?" The system spams windows in his face. One of them says the system can quantify anything. If it draws energy from the user, you will lose the chance to achieve something. The protagonist pauses. What? The system consumes my luck, so to power the system, I have to lose a part of the good in my life? This doesn't seem like a good deal. Plan B is to collect energy. What am I going to have to do? Fight ancient monsters? I can't do that. Plan A, and the system can update itself, but the time needed is unknown. With Plan A, the system can recover without help. It's a bit risky, and it might not work right, but it seems the safest. System, what happens if I let you update, and I can change my mind later? The system says he can change his mind at any time. Well, if that's the case, you'd like a cigarette? System, I choose Plan A, and always notify me if you find any external energy. I'll see if I can collect it or not. And Plan C stays as a backup. At least I'm okay with the restrictions of Plan A. I have to deal with those forgers anyway. Thinking about the elders again. At least I'm relieved that I now have some backup plans. I hope I can get some useful information. Time to check that USB drive Master Wu gave me. 2 days later, it took me this long to get out of bed to check this. He gets a message and thinks this information is quite useful. What I need most is to know their next steps. He gets a call from Wang. Hey Wang, what's up? Wang tells him, I found a broker who seems to be connected to our enemies. Come over here, I'll send you the address. Our protagonist thinks, but if they're connected to the forgers, they might know us. Maybe we should disguise ourselves. Under the blue sky, our boys arrive. Look at this Legends disguise no one would be able to recognize. I heard a lot of the forgers' money comes here. It must be connected to them. I didn't have the guts to come alone, so I called you. Fatty's getting smarter. Good job. Fatty lays out the plan. We can pretend to be making an investment to gain their trust. And when the time is right, you use that ability of yours and spend all your energy, just like that tired old man. But at least we find out who the spy is. He asks, my dear system, does this broker have anything to do with the forgers? Loading, loading. The system isn't working. And it again. I'll have to rely on myself. In the meeting room. Okay, this is our company's best project. It's verified by the entire market. You'll make a lot of money. If you want, I can provide any details. Any other questions? Wow, the meeting's already over. Our guy's suspicious. This doesn't seem like an honest place for investment, but I can't find a connection to the forgers. Yeah, this deal sounds great. Let's invest 10 million. Our protagonist is shocked. Who here is the boss? Did I agree? I'll call my strategic investment group before making a decision. All right, sir. I'll wait outside. And the guy leaves. He looks at Fatty and says, I haven't found many clues. Are you sure this place is connected to the forgers? And why did you say we were investing 10 million? Wang explains, I thought it would be easier to get information if we invested. Our protagonist noticed something. Hey, Fatty, you're acting strange. Are you hiding something from me? No, I'm not. He grabs his head. You forgot about my ability, didn't you? Spill it. Hesitant Wang says, Okay, I'll tell you. I found some clues, nothing amazing, but I discovered that many of those big shots invest in this company. I thought I could make a fortune too, so I asked you to come here and invest. He stands up, fuming. Man, don't you know what our priority is now? All you think about is money. And haven't I already helped you make a lot? This company seems to be scamming people. Dude, you'll lose all the money you invest here. Fatty seems confident. That won't happen. Many of my circle's friends invested here and earned a lot of dividends. And I know I've made a lot of money since I started working with you. But what about the future? I have to secure something for myself too, man. But Bayu doesn't care and says, I won't argue with you anymore. Just remember, you can count on me in the future. Stop with these foolish ideas and follow me. They leave the room and the guy asks, Sir, are you leaving? Bayu looks and replies, why can't we leave? And Wang then says, my boss won't invest in your business. Trying Tro-Win then over the guy explains, Sir, you can trust us. We have many extremely powerful and competent investors. Most of them are big investors in the antique circle. Our protagonist asks, big names in the antique circle? And the guy replies, yes, all of them are. Bayu then thinks if there are so many big names in the antique circle investing here, maybe this brokerage actually belongs to them and the forgers. He turns around, oh, you should have mentioned that earlier. I like companies with cultural value. Could you introduce me to these investors? I want to meet the owner of this place. He whips out the black card. As long as these investments seem profitable, I'm willing to invest up to 500 million monthly. Instantly, the guy tells him to follow him. He opens the door and they enter the room. This guy resembles the wife Shara from before and he says, Ah, my distinguished client, please welcome to our company. I am the owner of this place. You can call me Mr. Z, please have a seat and let's talk. As they sit, the man starts fidgeting with his ring. Our protagonist thought, so it's you, isn't it, dear brother-in-law? Now disguised, this man is acting entirely differently, remembering the guy who has a healthy relationship and was always stressed out. I wonder how many lies you've told. Mr. Z then tells Bayu to introduce himself. My name is Ri. I had some local businesses and got lucky. I heard from a subordinate that you're a big shot in the antique world, right? It's an industry where one can make good money. I'm interested in getting involved. What do you think? Mr. Z replies, yes, you can make good money, but it depends on your appraisal skills, connections, and capital, of course. If you're so interested, I can introduce you to the industry. Sure, let's go. Serving some tea, Mr. Z continues, it's an industry where you can have healthy profits. Of course, there are certain risks as well, but you can trust us. We are professionals. Ri, animated, responds, I really want to get involved. Teach me how to make money with this. His plan is simple. Pretend to be a naive investor to see what the guy says. Well, I don't know much about the antique industry. You said it's profitable, but how much profit are we talking about? Also, you don't deal in forgeries, do you? I heard that can be very profitable, but also very risky. You must be joking. We make good money, but we don't do anything illegal. As for how we achieve that, unfortunately, I can't reveal many details. The protagonist, frustrated, are you kidding me? You say you make a lot of money but don't explain anything? How can I invest in a place like this? Mr. Z tries to calm him. Perhaps you misunderstand, sir. It's just a business secret. We can't reveal too much. but you'll make a lot if you trust our reputation. But Bayu tries to convince the guy, you don't trust me, do you? You don't know my strength, man. I'm looking to invest a lot in your company. Mr. Z is confused. Who is this crazy guy? Does he really have that much money, or is there something else? The protagonist stands up. It seems you're just trying to fool me, right? You know me, good investors, do you? I'll find another company. Sir Rie, please be patient. We need good investors like you. It's just that in the antique business, connections are valued more than money. I need you to understand. But our boy just asks, are you going to say something or not? To be honest, we need money for a big deal we're making. If you trust us, you'll profit a lot. Bae insists, that's it? You're not saying anything else? But Mr. E just tells him, that's all I can reveal, sir. The protagonist realizes the man is alert and won't reveal much, but he's desperate for money, so he made up this excuse. What are the chances this place is involved with forgery? 100%. Finally, it worked. Thank goodness. He turns around, you guys don't know how to do business at all. Goodbye. Mr. Z then says to his subordinate, this guy might have money, but he asks some weird questions. Better stay alert with him. The protagonist pulls out his phone and calls Old Man Shi. Mr. Chagets Bayu, is there anything big happening in the antique circle these days? Something involving a lot of money? She confirms, yes, there's a foreign family coming to auction some items and many investors are interested. Bayu now is sure. So that's what that guy wanted money for? He's looking to buy these antiques. It seems he wants to acquire them to create forgeries. They'll probably sell many copies later, considering their skills. So that's what this guy was planning, and I'm going to take down this brokerage first. The problem is, how do I do that? That guy was very cautious. Besides, it seems they used some shady connections to move the money. If I attack them directly, they'll blame some other company. And currently I don't have any evidence proving that he owns this place and that he's involved in the forgeries. I'll only have one chance. After I say anything, I'll be putting myself in danger. Maybe it's better to discuss it with the elders first. However, my little system is trash. Then the system replies, it seems that you can't do anything without the system or other people, or you could mock me. Damn you, you don't work and still want to humiliate me like this. But the little system tempts me with seduction. You can achieve many things if you choose Plan C. How about it? I'll be fully recovered. The protagonist feels insulted by the system's taunt. Alright, I'll show you how I'll take down that brokerage without anyone's help. The chubby friend tries to apologize, but the protagonist says, it's okay, thanks to you. I found out it was that brother-in-law who owns the place. The chubby one is shocked. What? That guy from the dinner is the owner of this place? It's impressive that he recognized the guy, or maybe it's surprising that the guy didn't recognize our protagonist, but whatever. The chubby tries to feel smart. Wait, if he's the owner and there's someone involved in forgery, then he's the one doing the forgery, right? Haha, I'm so smart. The protagonist thinks, dude, that was obvious. The chubby says, you already knew? Bae replies, of course, do you forget I can predict things? And Wang then asks, okay, but what are we going to do then? Should we call Master Wu to take him out? Bar Boy explains, unfortunately, our evidence isn't solid enough for that. We'll have to find out things discreetly. The chubby thinks, wait, I have a lot of friends who had investments in this brokerage. It's better if you don't take them down now, or everyone will lose money, man. Let me at least warn them to pull out their money. The protagonist, what did you say? It's nothing, man. It's just that my friends can't all lose out here. The protagonist laughs, why are you so anxious? Actually, this will be great. I just got a little idea. At the old man's house, the brother-in-law reports, sir, this is everything that happened at the company. What do you think? The old man treats him differently. Stand up straight when you talk to me. He straightens up, sorry. But the old man instantly replies, get out of here, I can't stand seeing you in front of me. You know how to handle these company matters, so don't come asking me for advice every time. Okay, sir, I'm leaving then. In the car, he's feeling cocky. Tell that guy to transfer the money quickly, and then we'll put the rest in your account. The boss on the other line says, good job. The best thing was putting you in charge of that brokerage. Soon enough, we'll promote you to a senior member of the organization as soon as you get that thing. Happy, he replies, really, boss? Thank you so much. The call ends abruptly. Poor guy is being played by his wife and boss, but he's not innocent either. That guy says, I'll move up to senior. What I want is his position. His greed will be his downfall. He looks like a psychopath. Once I control the forgery business, I'll have enough power to change the game. The entire Wu family will be mine. This way, I'll have influence both in the criminal world and high society. All those idiots will have to listen to me. I've suffered all these years, but I'm finally seeing success on the horizon. He gets another call. What is it? Boss, something's wrong here at the brokerage, man. Come quickly. He rushes. Something wrong with our brokerage? Who's messing around? Of course it's our boy. But in the elevator, he swears, I've suffered all these years, but I'm finally going to have my chance. It's time to assume the position of a leader in both worlds of the society. Put on the mask, and now they are just stepping stones on the path to my success. Let me handle this emergency quickly. It will be an easy task. He steps out of the elevator, and everyone is there shouting, I came to withdraw my investment, man. I want to take out everything. Hurry, bring the contract. Everyone wants to withdraw their money, and the staff tries to calm them down. Calm down, everyone. The owner is coming. Please wait a moment. Your money is safe here. The boss arrives and sees the commotion. "Oh, boss, you're here." He approaches and says, "Gentlemen, our company does not force anyone to keep their money here. You can withdraw your money whenever you want. If you want to leave, you can take your money at any time. However, as stated in the contract, we are not responsible for your losses. As it says, you will only receive the principal amount of your investment back." One person replies, "It doesn't look like you're going bankrupt, but I don't care. Just give me my money back." Another person comments, "Yeah, if they're this calm, maybe we'll only lose our dividends." Someone else asks, "Who said anything about going bankrupt? Our company is strong and has an excellent reputation. How could we go bankrupt?" A voice chimes in, "There's a rumor going around." The boss interrupts, "What rumor? Someone is trying to damage our reputation? Thank God I got here in time." The security staff re-enters. "If our company wasn't doing well, our boss wouldn't be here talking to you. You can trust us." But the investor insists, "I don't care, man. I have everything invested with you. I just want to take my money out." One agrees, "I don't care about the dividends. Just give me back what I invested." The boss raises his hand. "All right, let's do the paperwork to withdraw your money and put you on the blacklist. Anyone else wants their money?" Only two people step forward. "All right, folks, we'll think about it a bit more." Another person comments, "Yeah, getting blacklisted by them wouldn't be good. A lot of people have made money here." Mr. E stares while thinking. "So do you think you can bring down my company with just a rumor? At least these people fell for our bluff." He looks at the security guard. "Did you find the person I asked for?" The guard replies, "Yes, we got in touch." Suddenly appear the two least suspicious guys on the planet. "Hey man, I heard you can make a lot of money here." Mr. Z is a very smart businessman. "Hey, is this the guy? I've got 10 million here." The boss looks to the side. "These are the guys I called." Perfect timing. He turns. "Mr. Zhang, Mr. Zhou, welcome. We've been expecting you." Folks, these two are businessmen from Beijing. They came here to invest in our company. One guy in the crowd says, "Man, I've seen criminals with more honest faces." Someone recognizes them. "Hey, wait a minute. Aren't those Wang Ergoi and Lai Hu?" "Hold on, it really is them." "Hey, when did you guys start doing business in Beijing? You still owe me $300 from last time. Where did you get 10 million? The conman, flustered, tries to speak, but everyone just cuts them off. "Give back that money." People start pulling at him. The suitcase that was supposed to have 10 million is filled with clothes. "What? These guys don't have a cent in this bag." "Boss, I think we brought the wrong people. It's not our fault." The crowd is not pleased. "Hey, they were just here to act as stand-ins, weren't they? You think you can fool us? There's something wrong with this company." Mr. Z tries to lie once more. "Gentlemen, please let's calm down. There's some misunderstanding here. I don't even know them, but everyone is tired of it." "Didn't you just say you knew them? You greeted them saying they came from Beijing. What's going on?" The conman, trembling, tries to defend himself. The security guards try to protect him as he runs. The crowd looks like a horde of zombies. They rush into a room and shut the door. "Phew, we escaped. But man, where did you find those accomplices?" "Sorry, boss. I got them from a friend." Reputation is the most important thing for an investment company. The consequences are disastrous if we lose ours. Go and return everyone's money. It's the only way to calm them down. "But sir, half of our company's capital has already been transferred. I'm afraid we don't have enough funds in the account at the moment." The guy punches the wall. "Damn it, if I find out who did this behind my back." People are banging on the door. His subordinate tells him, "Hey boss, you better leave through the back door. Let's get out of here, man. We're getting beaten worse than in a bar fight." But Mizuzu replies that fleeing would be the rawest decision, so he will make the only thing possible to fix this. Sitting on the couch, she commands Liu transfer all the capital to the company's account. Liu hesitates. "Wait, all the capital? What if Master Wu asked about it?" Mizuzu replies, "I don't care. I'll take responsibility. Just transfer the money now." Finally, he gets a call from his most trusted contact. "Honey, where are you?" Poor guy responds, "I'm handling some business. What do you want?" She asks if he's in trouble, but he says he isn't. She insists, "If you're in trouble, just tell me. I'll help." But he just cuts her. Fine. I have to go." He hangs up thinking, what's Wu's problem? She's always bothering me. Just then, there's a loud banging on the door. Grandpa enters and shouts, "Explain this to me." Damn it, he already knows. "You're amazing, aren't you? I didn't expect you to transfer the money. Now tell me, are you taking money from the family company? Is this what this company is for? I heard this place is involved with forgeries. Is that your doing? You're quite bold." Caught off guard, he thinks, "I need a scapegoat. I'll blame Bai Yu." Two birds with one stone. With a sigh, he says, "Grandpa, it's not what you think. It was Bai Yu. He set me up. This company isn't mine. It's Bai Yu's." The geezer asks what? "The company records show it belongs to you. How is Bai Yu the owner?" Putting on a false face, he continues, "Since joining the Wu family, I've been very fortunate. I always wanted to do something to please you. Bai Yu took advantage of me and asked me to manage this place, saying we'd split everything 50-50. I didn't mean to do anything, but while he was managing it, things went off track. I'm sorry, Grandpa, I made a mistake. But it was all Bai Yu's doing. He set me up. Now I see why. Bai Yu must want to fell who you warm plumpy legs and wants to get rid of me. Grandpa, trust me. He set me up." Grandpa looks skeptical. "So it's all Bai Yu's doing?" Is that right? Yes, Bai pretends to be a nice guy, but he's very cunning. Grandpa Wu nods. All right, let's ask him then. Feeling confident, he agrees. Yes, let's. I'll confront him and prove my innocence. At least I'll be free for now. Just then, Bai enters the room. Hey, Mr. Z, why are you on your knees? Nice to meet you again. Looks like you have a lot to resolve. He stutters, Mr. Ri, Bai. Bai removes his disguise, finally recognized me. Let's not pretend anymore. You wanted to confront me? Let's go. The man panics. Damn it. How did Bai know about our company? Bai smirks. You thought you could trick me with that silly ruse? Now I get it. You were behind all this, weren't you, Bai? Exactly. I had my friends spread the rumors. That's why those people came to withdraw their money. The sidekick laughs. I was lucky. I know a lot of people in this field. Thanks to that, we found out everything about this place. Bai continues, those two accomplices who came here worked for me. No wonder they were exposed so easily. It was all your conspiracy. With a sly smile, Bai says, I also discovered this brokerage is involved in forgeries. You were planning to buy foreign antiques to forge them, right? Too bad. I have all the evidence here on this USB. I expected you'd try to use Mr. Wu's money, so I told them to keep an eye on you. Everyone heard that call you made. Bai stands up. Entering this room first was to give you one last chance to confess your mistakes. But it's a pity you didn't repent. The Wu family treated you well, and you still made this mistake. And the worst, most unforgivable part is your involvement in forgery. He grabs him by the collar. You know very well why I did this, don't you? What? Is there another story? The reason I'm in this situation is all because of you. Grandpa is shocked. All because of me? How could it be my fault? Mr. Z insists. It's your fault I'm where I am. The two were in the background. Boss, what's going on? I don't understand anything. Neither do I. Everything is confusing. Old man, you tried to use Bai to dodge the threats, and now you're trying to blame me. Tell me, what did I do to you? Mr. Z insists. You see the man on the ground get up, all in pain. You've been belittling me since I married Hu Yu. You're never satisfied with anything I do. You thought I wouldn't achieve anything, right? You said I couldn't manage a company. You humiliated me, and that's why I became your enemy. I also joined the enemy that's going to destroy you. You'll understand where I'm coming from. Wu asks, boy, are you threatening me now of all times? But Mr. Z insists, I'll prove to everyone that you were wrong about me and I'm a wasted talent. Now do you understand why it's your fault? This is the lamest excuse I've ever heard. The chubby guy exclaims, ah, so that's why you got involved with forgeries. The old man speaks, so that's what you thought of me, boy? He sits down. Everyone leave, except for Bai. Here comes the talk. Hu Yu's and Xiao Shou's father died when they were still little. There was no way to leave such a large family business to two little girls. Humiyu was an extremely gentle woman, while Xiao Xiao was an innocent girl. Neither of them are qualified to inherit the Wu family yet. Everyone listening. I investigated you when you married Hu Yu. Although you weren't a very capable man, you were a good one. I thought maybe after gaining experience, you could inherit the Wu family. Mr. Z intervenes. But you've always been cruel to me and you always treated me badly. Wu then explains. Boy, you know nothing. You only learn enough when you go through the right experiences. If I were kind to you, you wouldn't strive. It's a shame you didn't understand my intentions and use that motivation to get involved with forgeries. Saddened, Mr. Z asks, wait, so you never thought ill of me? And the old man confirms, boy, if I didn't trust you, you wouldn't be involved in our family's business. Worse yet, I wouldn't have let Hu Yu marry you. Now the boy's world collapses. Hu Yu, I've been wrong all this time. He falls to the ground, devastated. I'd always thought I was smart, but I really am not. Oh, a tragedy, boy. The old man speaks again. You will no longer be part of the Wu family, having made such a grave mistake. Nor will you participate in the business, having been involved in forgeries. According to our house's discipline, you will be expelled and handed over to the police. Now trying to appear innocent, he says, it's all my fault. I deserve whatever comes. You lost your position in this family. Now for Hu Yu's sake, you must divorce her. He accepts. Okay, I won't involve Hu Yu in my crimes and will ask her for a divorce. But Hu Yu rushes in, desperate. No, my dear, no. He looks up Hu Yu. What are you doing here? Grandpa shouts, I told you to wait in the car. Were you listening behind the door? She comes to protect him. Grandpa, I've never asked you for anything like this. Please forgive him. We won't get divorced. But he tries to make things easier for her. Hu Yu, you don't mean to be this kind. Divorce is your best choice. The girl, emotional, you're wrong. We're a couple and we'll face this together. We swore never to abandon each other. If you expel him from the family, I'll leave too. Wow, she really loves him. For someone who was almost kissing the protagonist and slapping his hand, things changed quickly. I didn't know you suffered so much under the family's expectations. I'm not a good wife. I take responsibility for what happened. He all in pain and can't even close his hand. Hu Yu, I'm sorry. I just wanted to become successful to please you. It's all my fault. The protagonist watching, this is a Wu family matter. I'll get out of here, bye. This guy with everything exposed now better take advantage of the love he got. Outside, the brokerage is already dismantled. The problem is that now it makes my position even more difficult since the forgers will know about this. already with the bad guys. What or brokerage firm was dismantled due to lack of capital? They won't even attend the auction. The call and hung up. So it's you're doing again, right? Bayu, it seems I've been underestimating you. He kicks the table. I'm going to kill that Bayu. The next chapter, he's already being watched in binoculars. On the phone, old man says, "Wow, you figured out everything wrong with that brokerage before anyone else. Thanks to you, we managed to resolve everything and won't lose any more money." The consequences would have been quite severe. The old man, seeing the other old man praising the protagonist, gets jealous of the compliments. Already steps in saying, "Yes, Bayu is incredible. It's all thanks to attention. This boy is promising. Shy, our boy, thanks for the compliments." He pulls out the phone. "Bayu, we already know about your power C. If it weren't for you, Susie would have made another mistake, and our family would be in big trouble." He asks how the wife Shara is doing. The grandpa explains, she said she would rather lose the right to inherit the whole family than leave Susie. Well, anyway, it's her choice, so she'll have to deal with it. "Bayu, some of my old friends are coming to town. I would like to introduce you." Here come more old men. This guy never stops. The protagonist is interested. Wow, more key members of the Antique Society. Will I gain more connections? Maybe it's his way of thanking me for everything that happened with the brokerage. This old Wu is helping me a lot. I need to help him destroy the forgers. Of course, I accept. Just call me and I'll show up. Well, everyone knows about the involvement with the end of that brokerage. They surely sent someone to get me. Maybe even try to kill me. And then the system activates. Danger. Calculating possibility, but back to the old man who grabbed the phone. Wait, I want to talk to him too. Ah, we have something to talk to you about. Bayu, the evaluation test for the Antique Society is coming up, you know. Do you remember? He thinks, whoa, it's coming up already? Hold on, this is the test that decides if I become a principal member or not, right? If that's the case, I remember. The geezer says, yes, but we recommended you to be a central member. We even sent in your profile, and we're just waiting for the results. However, many members have also submitted other candidates. All of them are important people in the world of antiques. Old Wu and I know your potential. But there, nobody knows you, boy. You're still very young. The protagonist thinks, I understand what he means. Everyone there knows each other. This circle of antiques is only for the elders. This means I'll have to do very well on this test or no one will recognize me. Wait, speaking of which, if I'm going to take this test and the system doesn't work, and the worst part is I'm out of energy now. Not to mention, there's the matter of the spy, my god, there's a lot involved. The old man pulls out the phone and it's like a tug of war with the phone between the old men. Boy, there's someone among the candidates that nobody knows well, you see. They seem to be quite suspicious. You need to pass the test to ruin this person's plans. The old men are arguing. Of course he's going to pass. I already knew, but Bayu thinks they trust my ability a lot. He takes a sip of water. I need to show up for this challenge and find out who's still falsifying these things. It's time to finally strike the final blow of these forgers. Too bad my system is out of energy. Then the system sends a message. The forgers will cause you trouble, 89% chance. Leaving Han City has a 95% chance of giving you energy. This system is all weird. Sometimes it lacks energy, sometimes it sends messages. The old man asks, what do you mean by lack of energy? Bayu replies, nothing, I meant my phone is running out of battery. That's what I meant. The little system is there. Strongly recommend you leave Han City. The old boss says, that was all we wanted to discuss. We won't bother you anymore. But the protagonist likes talking to the old man. Wait, I need to talk to him about how to find the person who is forging, but I can't mention my system. Mr. Boss, I want to talk about the details of this test. Can I come to your house? Wow, the protagonist never misses a chance to go to the old man's house. He gets in his car, but the guy with the binoculars was watching and lets out a smile. He's coming to mess up the boy's life. On a road, he's driving calmly next to a truck when the truck suddenly loses control. It comes and hits the boy's wheels. He gets startled, the car skids, the whole body gets scratched, and he tries to swerve to the side. He got hit from the side. This car is going to go flying. Dan, how did it not flip over? The airbag deploys and the truck stops on the curb, fortunately. Phew, our protagonist almost bit the dust. He looks at the truck driver, who seems scared. He calls, reports the accident, and asks for a private car. But looking at the guy, he thinks, was this really an accident? I could have died if luck hadn't been on my side. Wait a minute, the system said I'm in danger if I don't leave this city. Could it be the counterfeiters trying to kill me? Ah, the guard arrives. Look, we checked the cameras, and it's not your fault. The truck driver was tired and got distracted. You can go. Our protagonist is leaving. This guy really doesn't look well. I think it has nothing to do with what I was thinking. Our protagonist looks. Well, I'll let the insurance company handle everything, and I'm out of here. He wonders if it wasn't the driver's fault. Did someone tamper with his truck? How did they make this happen? He sees a crowd looking at the accident. Could the person involved be in the crowd? There's a suspicious-looking guy staring at him. Well, let's find out. He enters an alley, keeps walking. A jar almost falls on his head. Huh? Look at that. Was it someone from above? He looks up. Why am I so unlucky? A woman from above says, sorry, my child did it by accident. Then a motorcycle comes speeding towards him. He steps aside, nearly getting hit. What is happening to me? The delivery guy even shouts, "Hey, you've almost hit my bike, man." He looks around. Phew, no way. At least in this crowded mall, I should be safe. I must be going crazy. No way someone planned all of this. However, there's something strange. Why am I so unlucky today? Well, anyway, I need to be careful. It's best if I head to the old man's house quickly. At least there, I'll be safe. If I go through a crowded area, I won't know who it is. But if I go through an isolated path, they might kill me, and no one will find me. Well, this person must have a weapon. If I'm not mistaken, there's security at the metro entrance. You know what? I'll head to the metro. As he's approaching the stairs, a chubby lady passes by him and suddenly pushes him. He almost falls but manages to steady himself. Huh? Who pushed me? He leans on her shoulder and she falls hard to the ground. Damn, that's it. I'm going to jail. Sorry, I used too much force by accident. But she replies, "Oh no, it's okay, young man. I'm the one who should apologize. Even though I twisted my ankle, we both would have fallen if it weren't for you." Then the system detects a bit of energy. Bai asks from where, but she gets up and says, "I was so scared. Thank you so much. Just thanking you isn't enough. Come, let me buy you dinner." Man, this protagonist is something else, huh? The guy only goes out with the old man and the chubby girls. He thinks, I guess it won't be so bad to have dinner with her. Besides, the system mentions something about energy. And since she clung to his wrist and wouldn't let go, they enter the restaurant together. The guy outside mutters, "Damn, but at least I finally have a chance." You know what? He takes out the poison. This guy is very prepared. Does he also have a probability system? It's possible that he's guessing where our guy will go so easily. At the restaurant with the girl, they're being served. The guy is just watching. He already poisoned the food because and thinks this poison has no taste. Just one bite, and the protagonist cuts the meat, takes one bite, and eats it. The guy smiles. Now you're done, Bayou. In 2 hours, you'll be dead. No one will even know why. He spits out the meat. This tastes awful. The chubby girl asks, "What's the problem, young man? Eat up, or you'll stay skinny like that." He thinks, did the chef add something strange? The taste was really weird. The guy watching is puzzled. Did he notice something? It doesn't make sense. The poison has no taste. Our guy drinks some water and thinks, wait, could it have been poisoned? She pats his back. Hey, careful, you're eating too fast. The guy gets all excited. But the system alerts 100% probability that the food was poisoned. 0% probability that you were poisoned. He becomes suspicious. Wait, I didn't plan to come to this place. That means whoever did this is here. He notices someone not all suspicious in the corner, marked by the system with an arrow and a 100% probability. He turns his face, pretending not to have noticed anything. She asks, "What? You didn't like it? Want to eat something else?" But Hiar replies, "Oh no, this meat is fine." He takes another bite. He wouldn't poison himself like a maniac. It seems this guy is following me. I can't hide in the crowd. Here, the guy keeps staring. "Now you're done, Bayou." Bayou says goodbye and starts walking down the street. The guy confused thinks, why hasn't this guy died yet? He ate so much. This is weird. He should have had a heart attack by now. It shows that the guy who made the poison got confused and ended up poisoning his own ramen, resulting in his own death. Smartest Chinese villain. The guy realizes Bayou is still alive. Impossible. That guy who sold me the poison must have cheated me. Damn it. I'll have to handle this myself. He starts running. Bayou looks back. This guy seems stronger than me and I don't know how to fight. I better avoid a direct conflict now. The guy tries to shove Bayou in front of an oncoming car, but Bayou dodges skillfully. Man, this is annoying, he thinks, remembering his boss told him to make it look like an accident. Why do you want it to look like an accident? If it was just about killing him, I could have kidnapped him and been done with it. Seeing Bayou pick up the pace and cross the street, he follows. A bit later, Bayou is walking near a lake exhausted. Phew, he did not manage to escape. But then he hears someone shouting, "Help, help." He looks and sees the guy trying to kill him in the water, pretending to drown. Bayou instantly knows, that guy, he wants to make it look like an accident. He probably wants me to jump in and drown us both. Suddenly, the guy gets a cramp and starts genuinely struggling. "Help, I'm cramping." Bayou is shocked. Wait, is he really drowning? Some people nearby watch the scene unfold. How are there fishermen, a guy in a suit, and another with a probability system all in the same picture? Bayou wonders. System, what's the probability that this guy is really drowning and not just pretending? But the system remains silent. Bayou hesitates but then decides, whatever, I'm going in. He runs and jumps into the like button in this video that helps Mamoru makes more juicy content for his viewers, activate the cheeky little bell, and I'm out.